accident. I totally wasn't even ready yet. Oh well, I guess it's time to go live. Okay, here we go. Hello everybody, it's me. I'm the storytelling Snorlax. And I'm here to tell stories with all of you. Or rather, you're here to help me tell stories for all of you. Something like that. We're all gonna write stories together. Hey, it says that we're still waiting for the stream to go live, but I'm pretty sure I clicked live. Are we not live? There we go, we are live. Hey. I'm gonna be looking at the chat here on my laptop and then writing up there on the screen. The microphone is currently recording me locally, but you're not going to hear it because I'm vertical streaming off of my phone using its inbuilt microphone. So apologies that your audio quality is not nearly as good as it looks like it should be, based on there being a nice microphone next to me. Hello, Lux. I'm going to wait for more people to show up so that we can all write a story together. That's the goal of today's stream, the storytelling Snorlax stream. Although if anybody comes in with suggestions, if anybody already knows exactly what they want the story to be about, suggestions are welcome. But I've got questions I'm going to ask the audience in order to build a story together. So I'm gonna wait for more people to come in so I can ask questions of you all in the chat. Got 8 people watching. All right, that's enough people, I think. That sounds like enough people to write a story, yeah? So, the first question, good versus bad, what wins? Leave your answers in the chat. Good versus bad, what wins? I will wait. Chaotic neutral wins? That's not an answer. A secret third thing wins? Creative, both of you, but not answers to the question of good versus bad. Who wins? What wins? Sorry, not who wins. What wins? It could be that chaotic neutral wins, or that a secret third thing wins when we really get into the nuance of it, you know? But we have to start with a simple paradigm here. I need to know if good or bad wins. Lux says good wins, but only because I detest cynicism. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do a good win story. You're the first to give a solid answer. Alright. So, first we're going to think about what is good. I guess that's question number 2, right? What is good? In the simplest terms you possibly can. What is good? Other than wins. We know good wins. Magical Girls. Okay, so Magical Girls win. Alright, so this is going to be a sequel to Madoka Magica. We're just going to title it Madoka Sequel for now. We'll figure out what it's called later. But this is going to be we'll call it a spiritual sequel. Spiritual Madoka sequel, parentheses untitled. I realize you probably can't read the title bar up there because it's kind of small, but I wrote up there in the title bar, Spiritual Madoka sequel untitled. Apologies for all the coughing. I'll edit that out of the audio version of this later. I got a local recording. I truly did start the stream um, early by accident while I was still getting ready. Snorlax! Yes, indeed. It is I, Ellen Horai, the storytelling Snorlax. So, the parameters of this story so far are that good wins and good is magical girls. Now, if we're going to start a universe from that perspective, I think it makes the most sense to just consider it a spiritual sequel to Madoka. Whether we are literally going to use Madoka's characters or not, this is going to be a story set in the universe where Madoka restarted it and healed all the magical girls, therefore ending magical girls. However, our main character is going to be someone who discovers the concept of magical girls because that parallel universe still, like, it happened, and so she'll find some kind of evidence of the fact that it happened and thus unravel the fact that magical girls once existed. And so she starts realizing that despite Madoka's sacrifice that saved all the magical girls, there is still evil in the world. And so she thinks that maybe magical girls' job wasn't done, and she wants to bring them back and create a new set of magical girls, but one that is aware of what they're getting themselves into from the beginning. It doesn't have to be tricked into it by Cubays, by incubators. So that's what this story will be about. Alright, so let's figure out how we're starting that off. What should our main characters... How old is she, and what country does she live in? These are things we should figure out. Do we want this to be like a younger magical girl, middle school, high school, college, she could be like a full-on adult just because she's like researching archaeologically the idea of magical girls. Just the fact that Ellen's here makes me think, Brazil. What if we had it set in Brazil? Magical grandma. It'd be interesting if she's like 25. Okay. I don't want to do magical grandma just because, well, I don't know. I kind of do. Because she could be like a fit grandma. She doesn't have to be like old lady, like, She could be like the grandma from Pokemon fucking Horizons, who's fucking awesome. And she could then work, like, because if she's an older woman, then she would be able to, probably influence lots of younger girls to then join her magical girl cause and maybe set up like a whole structure, like a pyramid scheme. Basically, she's going to create her own magical girl pyramid scheme. But, like, where they basically find troubled youths. Like, instead of people like Madoka, where it's just like, just like a good-hearted young girl, they find like ratchet, like orphans who aren't living, like people like Kyoko, like people who are like, yeah, this is my meal ticket, it's all hers, all girls like that. So that would be the establishment she'd create. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go with a... I'm gonna say how old do I want her to be? She has to be old enough to be a grandma. And possibly is a grandma. So how old do we want magical grandma to be exactly? What's the... I think under 70. I think 70 is kind of pushing it in terms of like, selling the physical fitness of this character, but she's supposed to be like as fit as she could be at her age. Somebody who's like an explorer, somebody who's like, maybe an archaeologist by trade, like out in the fields. 59. All right, we'll go with 59. So this is going to be a 59-year-old grandma, archaeologist, who finds out that she is in the universe that Madoka Magica reset. And that basically she treats Madoka like the Jesus of her personal religion. The religion of magical girls that she's going to spread to all of these troubled youths to give them a sense of purpose to fight for. But, obviously kids are going to die under her watch, Children younger than her will end up getting eaten by witches and shit. And she has to be like, is this really the right thing I'm doing here? But they were going to die in the streets, But maybe I could have given, you didn't have to make the magical girls, you could have given them some other purpose, you could have made them work. But is there really any good work in the capitalist regime of this modern world? How could I, in good conscience, put them into the system that's evil? So then she gets marked as like a libertarian goon and cult leader. And so she's kind of having to hide out from the government because, they're suspicious that this is like a pyramid scheme thing. She's got too many young girls under her purview. They're calling her a pervert and shit. And meanwhile, I'm like writing the whole story instead of actually writing the story, just in my head. Will become a magical girl for money. I think that is a series, right? I feel like I've heard that name before. Maybe I'm conflating We'll Save the Galaxy for Food, the Yahtzee Croshaw book. Okay. Alright, so I'm thinking, we've got the parameters of the story more or less broadly figured out. I'll probably not stick exactly to that depending on how things go as we actually start writing here. But the question is, where should this story begin? Where do we want our character? Also, we should give her a name. So if anybody has a good name idea and also a good place for this story to start, let me know in the chat. Obviously, I'll prioritize super chats. If you pay for your idea, no matter how ludicrous, I will probably go with it. Because I'll find a way to make it work. Maybe found the lost history of magical girls from exploring an old temple or something. Alright, yeah. I'm thinking definitely we could go in an Indiana Jones, direction. That guy was still rating at 70 or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be in the 5th movie. I don't know how many of you guys saw the 5th Indiana Jones. It was pretty alright. It was not terrible. It had some good parts. It was interesting just to see them even decide to take a character like that and make a movie about him getting old, I always find that kind of stuff fun. Wavenat got sick with a sore throat and congestion, so not feeling like scampering around as much as I'd like. Well, that's unfortunate. Magdalene? Yeah, I like that. That's a good name. Alright. Her name will be Magdalene, or MAGS for short. Magical Girl MAGS. Mahou Shoujo MAGS. Alright. So that's going to be the title, Mahou Shoujo MAGS. With all caps, so that it can also stand for other shit. Mahou Shoujo MAGS, the spiritual Madoka sequel, no longer untitled. Okay. So, Mahou Shoujo MAGS is underway. Make the title MAGS to Riches. That could be the first book. Alright. Well, no, we don't want it to be all caps yet because she'll eventually, that's going to be like the organization name. But her nickname is MAGS as well. Book 1, MAGS to Riches. Alright, cool. The way I'm doing this, by the way, is this screen has a document open that's just for you all to look at, and then like I'm typing on it in a different instance of the document, so I have to kind of look over to confirm what that looks like on that screen. The resolution's different. Okay. You're gonna be the worst nerd to this entire stream? Good, that's the way to be. You wouldn't start with the discovery, you'd rather have some preamble to get to know the character better, build up to the discovery at the end of chapter 1. Okay. Well, you need to, if that's going to be your suggestion, you have to propose a location. I just need location. That's the most important thing right now, is I need to know where we are starting this story, so I can set the scene. I know who the character is, I know what she's trying to do. I just need to know, where does her story begin? Think about, symbolically, where would you want, she's 59 at the start of the story. We're not going to do backstory for the beginning. Like we can learn about her life we can start with like a daily life scenario if we want, or whatever, or start with some drama going on in her life. I just need a location. Where's she at? She's a 59-year-old archaeologist. She could be at home, she could be on a dig, she could be at a school, she could be at a museum, she could be at her grandkids' soccer practice, she could be at her 40-year-old kid's fucking opera performance or something. Like, there's a lot of things. She could just be a scene in a movie, But I need a choice. A train. Ooh, a train is a good one. I like that. Train rumbling through the mountains. Okay. Okay, yeah. Well, train rumbling through the mountains is my favorite choice so far. And I'm going to pick the mountains of West Virginia, specifically because... Okay. A passenger train rumbles through the valley. Passenger train rumbles through the valley. Wait, what's the name of it? Carved by West Virginia's New River. I can show you what I mean by this. And then we can get a little deeper. If you think there's a more artful way for me to describe this, we can workshop that. Okay, so New River. This river. Well, hold on. I gotta fucking put it on your screen. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to zoom way in for you to be able to tell what the fuck I'm showing you. At that distance, it just generically looks like a river, but whatever. This river here, this is New River. I'm gonna zoom out, and maybe zooming out, you'll be able to have context where it is in the United States. So here's the U.S., right? Big ass country. I don't know why I keep talking into this mic like that's the one you hear me through. United States. I'm here. I'm right on the coast of right in the middle of the East Coast in Virginia. So this is Virginia. It's weirdly shaped. It's kind of a triangle. And this is West Virginia, just basically a bunch of fucking mountains. The Appalachian Mountains, the Appalachian Range goes from Atlanta all the way up into New York and into Canada. But it's like a straight line where I'm pointing. All this, the coast, completely flat. This, mountains. This, past those mountains, almost completely flat. It's plains. It's just rolling hill plains. This is where all of the cows and crops and all the bullshit is grown in America. But this fucking mountain range is really hard to get through, in part because there's a river going through a lot of it, cutting right down through West Virginia and continuing down to the bottom of the Appalachians. George Washington wanted to use this river as a way to move shit more quickly through this part of Virginia, but the river is too rapid. It's too difficult to move shit on. So it didn't really end up being good for that. But it is great for running coal, like boats of coal. So there's used to be tons of coal mining in that area. And you can still see the boats going up and down the New River. All along this river is, of course, a train track, because trains are usually built on the rivers through the mountains, because it's the only place that there's any kind of flat land. Trains aren't that broad, you know. So this is where our story is starting. I'm not going to be able to communicate all of that in the writing right away, and I don't know how much of that's relevant detail to the story we're going to tell, but that's, now you know what the New River is and where the New River is, and we're going to figure out how much of that matters as we go. Okay, enough with the history lesson and inability to read chat. What are you... Bitch, do not try to consider changing to THROUH. Hell no. Feedback on suggestion. Suggestion is wrong. Fuck you, bitch. Never ever try to correct me on how to spell through. This is how you spell through. THRU. Through. There is absolutely no purpose to the other letters being in that word. It's not throff. It's through. God damn. I will beat up a nerd right now. Okay. Okay, let me see where we're at. That's a 1-inch wide US shaped shape, yes. Is there a reason to describe her environment first and foremost? Is it to show off that she's an observant person? Well, we're not necessarily describing everything. I just want to know where the hell she is. Right now, she's on a passenger train rumbling through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. We don't really have to say any more than that in describing the setting if we don't need to, but I think knowing where she is will inform the story in some way. There's only so many reasons you'd be on a train going through the mountains of West Virginia, a passenger train. So I assume that she's trying to get somewhere either in West Virginia or just past it. You know, she's just passing through it to an obscure place in the Appalachians. We'll assume she's going to New River, the New River Gorge National Park, because it's the newest national park. It was just inducted last year, and being a 59-year-old well-traveled woman, she would have already been to most of them. So, you know, she might have even been to this area before, but now that it's becoming a national park, maybe she's taken the train because it's a unique way to get there. Because the train passes right through this park, so we'll say... I don't want it to sound that generic. Hold on. So far I've written, a passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Oh, I haven't even mentioned that she is on this train yet, so we gotta bring her into the story. Fuck, her name was Magdalene, right? Magdalene. I'm always tempted to give every character a name where it's the same, like the same first letter of each, because you know I was born Conrad Collins, so to me it's normal to have a name with alliteration. But the first thing that springs to mind is like Magdalene Magoo, and I'm like, I don't want her to be Magdalene Magoo. So y'all go ahead and let me know what should her last name be. Thank you for complimenting my stream setup and concept, young Klippa. Your show also has an awesome setup and concept. Yeah, I just put this together all at once just now. I kind of last night we did a gaming stream where, because of the fact that vertical streaming just has such higher discoverability than regular streaming, I was like, I refuse to use like normal game footage. I'm just gonna film us playing the games, and it worked out well. So then I thought, okay, like what else can I do with this office space? Thankfully, it's Memorial Day. My dad doesn't have work, so I've got the office to myself all day. So you know, this is what I came up with on a few minutes thought. Magdalene Maguka, Madoka Magdalene, Magdalene Mayo. Have Country Roads playing. She could be humming it to herself, because inevitably, if you go to West Virginia and you don't live there, you're gonna find yourself singing the fucking Country Roads song while you're there. Even though it's about living in West Virginia, you cannot help yourself but to sing about being taken home by the country roads when you find yourself there. You saw a lot of the gaming stream. Been in car in Tennessee on way to Texas. Might die, might not. If I make it back home, Prickly starts production. Incredible. So you guys are going to that Magdalene. She's very specific about not fucking it up. That is pretty funny. Magdalene. Yeah, that made me laugh, so we're going with that. We're gonna put in parentheses. Be careful how you pronounce it. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene. Be careful how you pronounce it. On her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. All right, our first sentence is complete. I like long starting sentences. So, Book 1, Mags to Riches. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. There you go, complete picture. This lady's on this train. She's got a funny name. Make sure you get it right. All right, she's in West Virginia. She's going to see a national park. Everything is understood. Where do we go from here? Do we want to describe something she's doing or something she's thinking about on the train? $10 from ASE Presents with a cactus. Hell yes. Prickly, the amazing comic that we're going to be releasing, I guess, as soon as they survive whatever they're doing. Not releasing, but producing, I meant to say. Releasing, God knows when. But I wrote a comic for Mint Salad to draw. I basically wrote a comic that was like, what would I want to read from Mint Salad that everyone else would also want to read? Like, what is the exact intersection between things Mint can do, things I like, and things that everybody else likes? And the answer is obviously massive tits. So a lot of the story is big tits and big action on a big desert planet. Everything is big. It's on a hypermassive planet. So it's like, like the desert, but if the Earth was like 400 times bigger than it is, or something like that. I'm not going to go too much in depth about anything else about the story because I don't want you to get mental images. I don't want you to start thinking about stuff that, get the wrong image in your head about the characters. All you need to know is that there's going to be a lot of huge tits, huge action, and huge desert. And it's in a compact package. It's not fucking 90 pages like Isom of nothing. It's 22 compact, action-packed, non-stop thrill ride, dense with lore pages. So Prickly is set in E2 Brazil. Got it. It's actually set on Planet Phoenix, spelled F-E-N-I-X, Planet Phoenix. And there are two major cities there. One is called Tucson, T-W-O-S-U-N, and the other one is called New Vega. So that should give you... No, Lost Vega. Sorry, not New Vega. Lost Vega. It's even more on the nose. I forgot. Lost Vega and Tucson are the two cities on planet Phoenix. So, yeah, I'm not being subtle about what this story is. It's a desert planet comic. Similar plot to Gantz, but with huge tits. There will be more dialogue than Gantz. It's not going to be like a just artsy experience. There's characters who have a lifestyle and things they do. You know, you'll learn about the everyday lives of the characters in Chapter 1, which involve lots of big tits and punching things. All right, back to the story we're writing though. Mahou Shoujo MAGS. For anybody who's just getting into the stream right now, we are currently in the process of writing a spiritual sequel to Madoka Magica called Mahou Shoujo MAGS, about a 59-year-old archaeologist who discovers that she's living in the post-Madoka universe, where magical girls used to exist, they don't anymore. She thinks they need to come back. That's going to be the plot. So the story starts with her. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. What happens on the train? Something important, like this train is not just going to stop somewhere. We didn't just start on a train so we could start on a train. Something has to happen on the train. So what's going to happen on this train that ends up being or rather, first we'll start with what is she doing before something happens. We don't have to figure out what happens right away. What is she doing on the train that must also be of some significance, something that indicates the personality of a person who is about, an archaeologist about to somehow find out about magical girls in West Virginia's New River Gorge. Somehow she's going to find out that she's in the post-Madoka Magica universe at New River National Park in West Virginia. So we got to get from here to there in one chapter, starting on a train. Well, she might not even find out in the national park. She might not make it that far. I don't know if this train is making it all the way to the park. She might just start the story somewhere fucking in the middle of the mountains of West Virginia that's on the New River. That might be all that's going. It's interesting to see how different my writing process is from yours. This is not my writing process. This is your I'm trying to make you all write this story for me. This is not me writing. This is not how I would write. If I was writing a story, I would just simply know exactly what was going to happen. I would just already know the story, and I would just write the story. And if I couldn't figure out what's supposed to happen, I wouldn't write it. Which is why I'm stuck on some of my stories, where I know things that are supposed to happen later, but I don't know what's supposed to happen next. Like, that's where we're at with this story right now, is I've already figured out, through you all, what will happen later. We know where the story is going, but I don't know what happens next. And I could decide for myself, but I'm not interested in that as much as I am in what you're all going to come up with. So the idea here is that this is more of an assisted writing process. So I'm basically just pitching questions that I think will get me interested. Like, if somebody just has an idea of, like, here's exactly what I think should happen next, and they say it, and I like it, I might go with that. But, I'm pitching all the questions just to be like, here's some ideas of how do we think about what should happen next? How do we approach considering this as a group? What should happen next? Maybe she's reading a magical girl manga. Okay. So she's already a fan of magical girls. She's just never suspected of their existence yet. Does the Madoka... So let's decide right now. Does the Madoka Magica manga and anime series exist in this story's universe? Like, is it still... Like, are we going to find out that Madoka is accidentally a historical text? Or is it just going to be, you know, that she finds out that those, like, real events happened? Or is it going to be, like, she's already read Madoka, and then, oh my god, actually, it's real? What happens needs to be in service of the plot, be putting an idea that pays off later. I mean, I think it's easy enough to make that kind of thing happen. Like, I think a lot of people undercredit the ability to just read your own story and then, like, make decisions based on what you set up before. Like, people will think, oh my god, they were laying Easter eggs like 100 chapters ago, and it's like, or they went back, saw that character they drew, and went, what's that guy's deal? You know, and, like, wrote the story. Um, will she have a magical girl familiar? Probably. Yes. We'll that'll be how we introduce this, because that's typically what happens in a magical girl story, right? Is like a creature shows up to tell them the world is in need. So she's gonna find some. She's definitely gonna find a magical girl creature, something like a Cubey, but it can't be Cubey. It has to be like a new incarnation, but something that she will recognize as like, oh, this is a fucking magical girl pet thing, you know? If she checks the bathroom and someone is crying in there, she could decide to help the little girl, but the girl can be a demon animal, either a shapeshifter as an avatar or a different character. I can't imagine you would discover someone was crying in the bathroom on a train, because it's usually a single person stall. So if somebody was in there, I mean, I guess you could hear it, possibly, but trains are loud. I don't know, I don't want to involve a bathroom. The train is the location for a meetup with a thief she hired to boost a magical artifact from a museum for her. She nervously waiting for her guy to show. Also, she has a gun. That could work. Although, I don't know, it's not very magical girl. It's kind of going down the road of thief story. For example, if the opening scene in Game of Thrones did not have zombies introducing magic elements later, it would not work, I think. Yeah, that's true. I'd say the Madoka anime doesn't exist. She erased herself from the universe, so it wouldn't make sense. Okay. But other magical girl stuff does. I need to know the character personality-wise, because how each character reacts to a given situation will depend on how they behave. Like, maybe a character trait is that they can't pee if someone is in the other stall. Well, so what I'm thinking is that we have to have... I think the most interesting way for this to go with the train is that it's going to get derailed or for some reason she cannot continue on the train. She's just going to be stranded in the mountains. And out in the mountains, she's going to find this creature. So maybe the creature's on the run from something that ends up attack, you know, like just this little thing is running away from something that ends up bulldozing into the train, knocking it off the tracks. And then, you know, she sees the thing, follows it, and the creature off, you know, whatever is chasing it into the forest because she recognizes it as a magical girl creature. And she, you know, having just been reading magical girl manga, is like, I'm gonna, you know, oh shit, that's exactly the thing from the manga, you know, I'm gonna follow that thing into the woods. So, okay, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. That's how this scene goes. So we'll go ahead and say she's reading manga. Intermittently glancing toward I wish that on this screen it was showing you what I was typing at the same time that I was typing it. I might have to change the way I'm doing this. Let's go ahead and fix that typo. Okay. Intermittently glancing towards the sunset, bleeding beautifully over mountaintops, and at the pages, oh, I should say through the window. Intermittently glancing through the window. Oh, I guess I can edit on this screen too. Just gonna look at what you can all see. Intermittently glancing through the window toward the sunset that bleeds. Well, how about a sunset? Intermittently glancing through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over mountaintops and at the pages of her favorite Magical Girls manga's latest volume. The hum of the noisy Okay. Intermittently glancing through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over mountaintops, and down at the pages of her favorite Magical Girl manga's latest volume, the noisy clatter of cars on the track keeps a numb feeling over her mind. So she's just kinda, chilling, reading manga, looking out the window, just kinda halfway in, halfway out. She's on a fucking train. She's been there probably hours because she's in the middle of the mountains. So she's glazed, is basically what I'm saying. Just reading manga on a train. What is her favorite Magical Girl manga called? Vic said, yo, let's see Mad Max today at 2:50. I will buy tickets. Bird is not getting home until like 4:30 at the earliest. Probably 4:30 based on traffic. So if we could go at like 5 or 5:30, that would be really cool. I plan to stream pretty much until then. Precure. Precure doesn't really have a manga, does it? I mean, I guess there must be Precure manga, but like it's not based on a manga. Precure is just kind of generic to me. I would prefer she be reading like it should be something current. It should be like, a new Magical Girl manga that she's into right now. It has to be something that you can get a physical copy of in the United States. I guess it doesn't have to be new, as long as it's newly being printed here. Actually, it would be even better if it's like an 80s Magical Girl manga that only just started getting printed here. That's exactly what I would expect a 59-year-old Magical Girl fan to be reading on the train through West Virginia. So if anybody knows like an older Magical Girl manga that's only recently been published in the United States, like I could even go like Cardcaptor Sakura kind of, like if she was reading the big Cardcaptor, I could see it, but I would prefer something even more like niche, just something that suggests she's... Does Creamy Mommy have a English publication? I have no idea. I mean, I guess I can look into that. I really doubt it. Wait, oh my god, I think it does. Holy shit. Magical Angel Creamy Mommy manga on Amazon. Hold up, it's not opening for me. Open, you son of a bitch. Am I confused about how Google works now or something? Okay, here we go. Yeah, this appears to be real. I don't know if it's physical though. No, it's a digital. No, wait, there's a paperback. Okay, sick. Awesome, yeah, alright. She's reading fucking Creamy Mommy. Alright, instead of her favorite magical... what's the company releasing this? We're gonna reference it. We're gonna reference the release by company because that's 7 Seas. Okay. Perfect. I love that it's 7 Seas too because they published Boogie Pop and basically brought light novels to the U.S. first, and Yuri for that matter. So they're kind of goated for that. Okay, so let's reread this sentence because I rewrote it. Intermittently glancing through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops and down at the pages... no, that doesn't make sense because it sounds like I'm talking... Intermittently glancing... Let's change that to glancing intermittently just because it's better. Glancing intermittently through the window do I need to say the train window or is that redundant? It must be redundant. Toward the intermittently glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops. I do need to say the mountaintops. We'll say and then down, and then down at the pages of the latest 7 Seas publication of Creamy Mommy. Yeah, okay. The noisy clatter of cars on the track keeps a numb feeling over her mind. We'll say maintains. Well, I don't know. Yeah, okay. It is that noise that is maintaining the numb feeling over her mind, right? Or would you say that it's her mind maintaining a numb feeling because of the noise? And how would I phrase that? The noisy clatter of cars on the track creating a numb wash of we'll say washing a sensation of numbness over her brain. That sounds cool. Okay, let's reread this whole fucking paragraph so far. Book 1, Mags to Riches. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest 7 Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the track washes a sensation of numbness over her brain. The noisy clatter of cars on the track washes a sensation. Glancing, well, okay. I feel like it should be, contextually, it should be as she glances, but I'm trying to think of how I'm going to, because this is actually 2 different sentences that I've just kind of connected, and I'm trying to figure out how to resolve each sentence on its own. Or maybe I just need to rephrase. A sensation of numbness washes over her brain from the noisy, well, Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy. The noisy clatter of cars on the track washes a sensation of numbness over her brain. I don't know if that necessarily checks out grammatically, but I don't feel like it's confusing. I don't know. Let me see what you are all saying in the chat. Let me know if you think this needs to be restructured somehow. Yes, naming the company is a good way to subtly establish that she knows her shit. That's what I was kind of going for with that. It's like, because that's how manga people talk about it. Like, because they're not assuming that you're just reading the story. They're assuming, well, they would know that there's multiple. Like, they'd be thinking, well, is it the Japanese version? Is it like, this release, that release? And it also helps to date the story to 2024 because, like, say 50 years from now, Creamy Mommy gets republished by another group. I'm talking about the Creamy Mommy that was published in the 2020s. Okay, Ellen agrees it's fine now, and she's trying to be nitpicky, so I think we're gonna be good for now. So she's gonna have to be woken up. That's what has to happen next. She's got a sensation of numbness washing over her brain, so now it's time to have an event spark her awake. So what's she gonna notice first? Like, how we know that the train it's between a river, a decently wide river, and a mountain, the side of a mountain. There's also mountains on the other side of the river. The sunset's bleeding over the mountains from that side. So she's on the eastern side of the river. Sunset's over there, bleeding over the western mountains. She's heading south towards New River Gorge. And something is going to, from one of those directions, hit the train or something. Somehow, it doesn't have to hit it, it could just stop in front of it. I don't know. The train's going to get stopped in some fashion. I want to know, is she first going to be like jolted by the train's movement? Is she going to see the thing before it happens? Like catch a glimpse of it out the window? Is it going to suddenly spring up from underneath? Something's got to get her attention to get her out of just kind of, reading manga. What would get her attention is, I guess, what we're trying to figure out. Because this is going to say something about her character. Like, what does it take to get her to look up? Well, she's already kind of looking up. She's glancing out the window. So she's not totally inattentive. She's kind of numb. But, something's going to catch her in a way that's like, whoa, what's that? Or she's going to be, oh, what the fuck is going on? I'm leaning more towards the former. I'm leaning more towards her noticing something before it happens. It's funny seeing just the words sensation of numbness over her brain lingering on the screen over there. Kind of cracks me up. Alright, well, while I'm waiting for your ideas, I'm going to go promote this stream a little bit more. Because this is fun, and I want more people in here. I need ideas a little quicker. I'm going to tweet about what this story is. A 59-year-old woman Alright, get in here. We're writing a sequel to Madoka Magica about a 59-year-old woman realizing magical girls need to come back. Cool. Maybe that will grab some attention. Let me go promote that on YouTube as well. Oh, I think because I have a desktop in front of me, I can actually edit the name of the stream too. So I could add it to the title. Mahou Shoujo MAGS Part 1. Now that we have a name for our show here. It's still gonna be Snorlax Storytelling, or Storytelling Snorlax Stream. God, Storytelling Snorlax Stream. I didn't realize what a fucking tongue twister that was. Storytelling Snorlax Stream, colon, Mahou Shoujo MAGS. Spiritual sequel to Madoka. Cool. Alright. Now I think the branding's a little clearer. Maybe more people will want to get in here and help me write this Magical Girls series. She should definitely catch a glimpse of it out the window first. A creature running alongside the train. Oh, yeah. Like, because I'm thinking it's going to be a cute little animal Pokemon thing. So it's going to be like bouncing. You know, like maybe she'll just keep seeing something pop up. She's like, what the fuck? You know, and then realizes something else is like chasing it. And then that thing like bumps into the train. Okay, yeah. I like the cinematic. I'm going to try to see how I can describe that in words in a way that feels as cool as it looks in my mind's eye. Because, of course, in my brain, this is like a Ghibli movie now. But I don't know how I'm going to write that with words. What's up, Trixie? I just caught a free run because you're a long-ass video on it. It's really good, but for real, does it have a bunch of side quest arcs that kind of feel like filler? It's true. I mean, like... And that's, you know, it's a journey is more important than the destination kind of a story. I think all those little side arcs, they leave you with more of a feeling about the characters, but it is hard to remember, like, any of what happened in a lot of those little chapters. Like, a couple of them stick out in my mind. Anything about dwarves. I always like the dwarf characters, because they basically, it's that meme, hold on, let me go find this meme, and I'll show it to you. About when dwarves turn 20, they pick one of these and that becomes their whole personality. Fuck. I retweeted this like the other day, but I retweet so much, God knows how long it'll take me to find one specific meme in my Twitter. Well, I've been really self-promoting more than I've been retweeting in the last couple days, haven't I? That's good. I need the money. Everyone tell everyone. Everyone tell everyone. Make sure they know. Make sure they all know. I'm pretty sure I fucking retweeted this goddamn meme. I feel like I've scrolled back through several days and I haven't run into it yet. It's all Chris Chan. All Chris Chan medallion all day long in my feed right now. I realize probably I'm the only person whose feed has been utterly dominated by Chris Chan medallion discussion for the last 2 days, but that's where I've been at. That's been my world. Okay, I can't find this goddamn meme, so whatever, I give up. A baby starts crying on the train and she uses her grandma's skills to comfort it and show off her character. The baby has cursed birthmark. No, I think we're already beyond that. I think we're going with there being like something hopping next to the train. Okay. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. Ooh, mysterious. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. Like, this should probably be a new paragraph, actually. Um, okay. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. Forgetting and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more met with nothing on inspection. Alright, instead we'll say, um, um, while forgetting? While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more met with nothing upon inspection. Yeah, I like that. The words are starting to get more like investigative, like more detective-y, more like, what is going on? I'm inspecting, We're gonna reach a level of full-on investigation soon, I think. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more met with nothing upon inspection. Well, we'll say witnesses. And once more witnesses nothing upon inspection. And once more witnesses nothing new. And once more witnesses nothing new upon inspection. Okay. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she now holds her. I don't mean now. She holds her gaze upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears again. Does this sentence make sense? Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears again, seeming to leap upward just from outside the train. Does it make sense that a glint is leaping upward from outside the train? Can I get away? Like, I'm trying to not yet have described what it is beyond a glint. Like, she can't tell what it is. Just is in the wrong place? Okay. Oh yeah, leap upward from just outside the train. Okay, you're right. Leap upward from just outside of the train. So we'll say unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears again, seeming to leap upward from just outside of the train. Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Thank you for that. Do I need seeming? Yes, because I don't want... The implication is that she can't tell what's... Like, it's a glint... How could a glint leap? You know, I guess... Could it be a glint leap? Let me look at it. Let me look at this again. You might be right. Leaping upward from just outside of the train. The glint appears again. Yeah, I mean, it is... The glint do be leaping. I guess her perspective doesn't really matter because it is really happening. So she's seeing what is happening. So I don't really need to consider it like a perspective thing. So you're right. Okay. Let's go all the way back. Let's read what we've got so far, just for anybody who's just showing up and has no idea what the hell is going on. Welcome to the Storytelling Snorlax stream. And this is Mahou Shoujo MAGS, the spiritual sequel to Madoka Magica, about a 59-year-old grandma archaeologist who realizes that she is in the universe that Madoka reset and that she has to bring back magical girls. Book 1, Mags to Riches. Or her name is Mags, also. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene. Be careful how you pronounce it. On her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the track washes a sensation. I'm realizing, if you don't know what Creamy Mommy is, would you even know this was a manga? I guess this isn't for anybody who doesn't know what Creamy Mommy is. The noisy clatter of cars on the track washes a sensation of numbness over her brain. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more witnesses nothing new upon inspection. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears again, leaping... We'll say once more, because we already said again. Leaping upward from just outside of the train. I don't want to use again twice, because then it's like again, you know? Trouble with the English language, we just invent new ways to say the same words so we don't have to say the same words. I don't know why Japanese people don't care about that. Like, they're just like, yeah, whatever, you say the words all the time. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears once more, leaping upward from just outside of the train. Okay. Yeah, because, yeah, again was already up there. Just a little less repetitive. Like, it is repetitive on purpose on some level, but this is, you know, just... I think creates a wash is clearer than washes as sensation, thinking about it. Let me look back at that. The cars on the track, wash is a sensation of numbness, creates a wash. Yeah, we could just say creates a wash of numbness, right? You don't need to use the word sensation because that's the washing is the sensation. Cars on the track creates a wash of numbness over her brain. Yeah. Putting washes in that grammatical position is creative, though. It's creative, but I don't know if it's correctly creative. I don't like when something is like confusing just to sound cool. You know, I prefer it just to be direct. You know. And so, like, if it was creates a washing sensation, I would think that wouldn't sound that good. But just creates a wash of numbness, kind of, is like, okay, it's making her brain wash itself numb, you know? Like, I want to take away the power from the noise and put the power on her brain as, like, the brain is creating the wash, you know? Like, the rumble of cars on the track creates a wash of numbness over her brain, kind of implies that it's doing something to her, but the brain is then doing that thing to itself. Like, I don't know. I just think it sounds a little more multi-step, and that's what I like about it, as compared to how I had it before, where it just feels like it's just directly happening to her, but not, like, participatory, you know? This is going to be an interesting podcast when I edit this back. Because I'm going to keep in all of the logic of, like, I'm just going to, the podcast version of this is just going to be the story and the logic behind the story, with everything else intermittently cut out. And I think that'll be an interesting presentation of a writing process as a podcast. Because this is definitely intriguing, and we are successfully writing a story right now. I mean, we've already got 47 pages. Look at that. Can you see that? It says we have 47 pages written of the story so far. Isn't that crazy? 47 whole pages. How many people can write 47 pages in an hour? What are we at? What time are we at, actually? I don't know. We are at, yeah, just like an hour 10. We've already written. Okay, but let's see what the actual word count is, though. 165 words. Okay, that sounds a little bit more realistic. Go back over to this screen. Oh, on this screen it says 19 pages. I just realized that y'all couldn't see where it says the number of pages. That's just something I was experiencing all for myself, but on this screen it's 19 pages. For 150 words or whatever. Okay, so we've pretty much got our inciting incident underway. There's some kind of bouncing glint. Now we gotta figure out how is she going to find herself interacting with this glint? Or is it going to interact with her? Should they like meet eyes or something right before, so like it disappears, or something takes over, like, you know, something overtakes it maybe? Like maybe in this moment, this next paragraph should probably be just that even though it's only there for a split second, she gets like such a good look at this thing that they have like a moment of recognition. You know, like they meet eyes and she realizes exactly what this thing is. And maybe it also recognizes her like instinctively as somebody who could be a magical girl. You know, might not be thinking that, but just kind of, that's, you know, it's a new type flash moment between her and this little Pokemon that she's going to get her magical girl powers from. So that's what this next paragraph, we're going to try to describe the new type flash between MAGS. So basically we got to figure out what this creature is now. Like we're at the stage now where we have to figure out, it's small enough that it's small and fast. Those are two things that it has to be. It has to be really small, and it has to be like brightly colored, like white, yellow. It's a color that when it bounces outside of a train window at sunset, the sun glints off of it in a way that is distracting. So it has to be a small creature with a color that reflects sunlight, that's fast enough to bounce alongside of a train. So let's decide what this thing is. It has to be cute. It has to basically look like a little Pokemon or a, Carabaros or whatever. Um, so yeah, we gotta figure that out. By the way, I'm looking at the screen right now. I don't know if y'all realize this cup here in the middle there. That's me. That's me with the glasses and the long hair in the middle. And then Victor's next to me, and then Shade's the graduation picture hanging there. Obviously that's him as like a grown adult almost, and the two of us are like baby pictures on that mode. But that's all three of us, nonetheless. I actually don't know who it is that's in the Pokemon car picture, but that's somebody standing next to a Pokemon Volkswagen. Oh, and there's a lighthouse and a cool cup. And that Darth Vader standee from a Passat ad. And whatever the fuck this is, Toward a Better Environment, April 1992, the Arts and Entertainment Council for the United Nations. Oh, it's a fucking United Nations Art Council. What a thing to have hanging over me while I'm fucking writing a story. It's also like it's a baby sucking on the earth as a tit. I don't know if you've noticed that's what's happening in that picture. That is a baby sucking the planet Earth. I think it's planet Earth. Actually, it just looks like a planet. I'm not even clear if that is planet Earth because it looks like it's got storms all over it. So it's a baby sucking a planet boob. Toward a Better Environment. What a fucking weird artwork. I like the idea of it stopping when it sees her, then quickly vanishing because it stopped, so the train outruns it. So, I'm thinking it's because this thing has to be in a desperate situation. So I'm thinking rather than it stopping, I want something to like take it out, Maybe like, because what I'm imagining is that it's bouncing next to the train, and then, they lock eyes. She gets just enough time to fully recognize what it is and think about it, and then poof, something like a big darkness overtakes it, and maybe it knocks into the train at the same time. So it's going to be like all at once, the thing gets taken out, the train gets, and everybody's, whoa, what the fuck was that? And then she immediately is going to run after the thing, because she's like, I'm pretty sure that's a fucking magical creature. Like, that was not a real creature I saw just now. I gotta know more. So she's gonna just, abandon the train. So, but most importantly, we gotta figure out what the thing is. A kiwi? Ooh, a bright kiwi. That would be cute. A butterfly, that's a little too frail. A little too frail. Okay, well, I've only seen kiwi as a suggestion, so let's look at what a kiwi looks like. Put this over there. Kiwi bird. Kiwi bird. Kiwi bird. Kiwi bird. Look at that little kiwi bird. Okay, yeah, we're going with a little kiwi bird. So it's a super fast little kiwi bird. What color is this kiwi bird? Maybe it'll have some kind of design on it, because usually the magical creatures have some kind of little pattern on them or something. Rainbow kiwi? Ooh, what if it's like, how do you describe that effect where something is like white, but it has like a rainbow effect around it, like almost an outline? Like, I'm thinking of like those furs where it's like the faux fur where it's like white, but then there's a rainbow tassel, so it gives like a glowy impression. Kiwis do not fly, which is important. It's not flying; it's bouncing in this case. So I assume he's just kind of using his legs to bounce over and over again. Chrome metallic. That would be interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking it's like a repetitive boing boing. Like, those little Those little wind-up toys where like you wind up the thing and then you press the legs down, like you push it down, and then it like does a backflip after the timer goes off. It's like that, doing that, like just pushing off the ground over and over again to bounce itself. That's what I'm thinking. I'm still trying to decide. I want it to be that color where it's like white with rainbow around it, but I'm trying to figure out how the fuck do you describe that, like without going into. I'm trying to figure out the least detailed way to describe that coloring effect. Let's look into it. White feather with rainbow glow. Let's see. 12 signs an angel messenger is near. Okay. It's widely believed that angels and their beautiful divine energy bless and surround us every day, but would you know how to spot the subtle signs an angel messenger might send your way? Let's take a look at some of the universal signs that experts say angels use to remind us that they are always by our side. All right, experts, what is an angel messenger? Let me... A pop-up just asked me for £29 for something. I don't know what. I clicked X so quickly I didn't read it. The word angel means messenger, and when you begin to connect with the angels in your life, you may soon notice how they communicate and send messages to us as we go about our everyday lives. Okay, so this thing's going to be named... it's going to be called an angel messenger. That is what the thing is. It is an angel messenger from somewhere. Wherever we're going to determine it's from. So this little kiwi guy is an angel messenger. An angel messenger is a celestial being who acts as a divine messenger to deliver guidance and support humans on behalf of God or the divine. According to spiritual traditions, angel messengers can take various forms. Some portray them as winged figures of light, while others describe messengers that appear in human form. Regardless, their purpose is to impart wisdom from the divine through signs, prompts, angel numbers, and more. This all sounds right. This sounds like what we're going for. Many of us are too busy rushing here and there to stop and look down to notice a feather appearing out of nowhere, the shiny penny on our path, or to think too much about why we can't get a particular song out of our heads. However, these signs could be an angel messenger gently nudging us to notice them. It's thought that signs like these are the angels trying to get our attention so that they can intervene and guide us in a particular way or offer us reassurance when we need it the most. By simply asking the angels for their help and guidance, just as you would a friend, and practicing tuning into their energetic qualities. You could soon be welcoming a whole new realm of love and light into your life. Open your heart and mind, be patient, and you could find that angels will be willing to share their wisdom, protection, and healing with you. All you have to do is ask, an angel messenger will respond. Here are some of the ways experts believe angels send us signs from heaven. Okay, we've got a bunch. I'm not going to read all of these, but there's a paragraph for each. You got fluffy cloud formations, a divine scent, a flurry of feathers, meaningful music, nature's winged messengers, such as robins, see a penny pick it up, the power of words, shimmer and sparkle, over the rainbow, feel the presence, know your numbers, angel messenger in your dreams, and those are all the ways. Okay. I think I'm going to have to bookmark this to refer back to this 12 Signs an Angel Messenger is Near article from the Center of Excellence in England. That, by the way, was result number 2 when I Googled white feather with rainbow glow. That was the second result for that. So Angel Messenger, that is what this kiwi is. Apostle equals angel equals messenger etymologically. I figured that's what they were trying to say. It's interesting that they said angel means messenger and then kept calling them angel messengers anyways. But whatever. I love the idea of an angel being the reason I can't stop singing Mega Bus to myself today. I fought the angels here today. Okay. Give it a cute little halo? Alright, yeah. Aura. Iridescent. Yes, these are good words. Let's see what comes up on Google when I search iridescent. So that might be exactly what I want. Yeah, yes, okay. Good, yes, this. This goopy ass, whatever the fuck this is apparently what iridescent means. Yeah, we're going with that. It's an iridescent kiwi with a halo. Thank you, Gary, for iridescent. And Gunner Squared. I think that's how you read your name. So I'm going to describe it as a white kiwi bird with an iridescent aura. A white kiwi bird with an iridescent aura sees into her eyes. How do you like that? For, communicating that they both locked eyes. That's fucking art right there. A white kiwi bird with an iridescent aura sees into her eyes. Pearlescence. Ooh, let's look at what Google considers pearlescence to look like. That's kind of the same. The difference between iridescent and pearlescence. Okay, let's find out from differencebetween.net. This is a real thing? Oh my god, I could spend all fucking day here. Difference between an arbitrator and a mediator, difference between cellulite and stretch marks, difference between Taliban and Al-Qaeda, difference between Kung Fu and Karate, difference between expression and equation are more in miscellaneous, the category. Okay. Difference between iridescent and pearlescent. The sensation of color is complex, and what makes it so complex is that human eye does not limit itself in detecting a single wavelength of visible light, but rather a wide range of wavelengths. Perception of a scene involves multiple variables, so sensation of a color involves not just the factors of object coloration, but also surface gloss. This ability to change colors has long intrigued people. In that context, iridescence is one such phenomenon that seems to change color with different angles of view, which is fascinating. Pearlescence is yet another related effect which is often used to describe certain paint finishes, primarily in the automotive industry. But are they the same? Let's take a look. Iridescence refers to a lustrous, rainbow-like play of colors on certain surfaces that seem to gradually change color in different lighting conditions and at different angles. Iridescent means something that exhibits iridescence. For instance, a soap bubble seems to contain a wealth of changing color like a rainbow. And why is that? The light partially reflects a watery surface, and the wall of a soap bubble is like a thin film of water sandwiched between two layers of soap. So when the light hits the surface of the soap bubble, some light is reflected while some light goes through and seen as specific colors. Okay. Pearlescent refers to anything that exhibits an iridescent luster that resembles that of a pearl, having a pearly luster or sheen. It means a surface that seems to shine with different colors. Pearlescent pigments are best known as effect pigments because they have this unique property of pearlescence as well as color. These pigments are partially translucent, formed by depositing titanium dioxide or iron salts into mica with metal oxide layering. The pearl-like clusters comes from different optical phenomenon than those involved in the production of color. The colors produced from a pearlescent pigment stem from the constructive interference of light from reflections at internal boundaries within each pearlescent pigment. Pearlescent pigments exhibit a unique optical property which gives them their ability to display multiple color effects, the ability to show two different colors when viewed from two different angles. Okay. So I don't think it's possible for the kiwi bird to be pearlescent, which makes me want it to be that even more, kind of? So I'm thinking maybe we swap it over to pearlescence, especially because it, yeah, like you said, it does imply the whiteness more in specific, and we do kind of want it to have like a white center with a glowy, like rainbow, like hue around it sort of feeling. So we'll call it pearlescence. Also, it's a word I have like never seen. So instead of white with an iridescent aura, we can just call it a pearlescent kiwi bird also, which is also nice. Cuts a lot of extra words out. A pearlescent kiwi bird sees into her eyes. There's probably more to this kiwi bird than just being pearlescent. It should have some kind of like pattern or something, some kind of marking, because they almost always have some kind of marking. So we got to decide where is the marking and what kind of marking. Maybe a gem, like some kind of gem could be on it, or an array of gems. Just what would look cool, what would look pretty, because being pearlescent is already a lot, and you're talking about a tiny little bird. So we're thinking about a pearlescent kiwi bird. I should probably bring kiwi birds back up, because that would be helpful to look at. Bring me back to kiwi bird. Oh no, it wasn't in this tab at all. Shit. Do I still have it open over here? Oh, I do. Alright, a pearlescent kiwi bird. What can we add to it? Angels are machines? That's an interesting idea. Yeah, the description does feel a bit too curt now, which is why I want to add, like, okay, there's more to it than it's pearlescent, because that's kind of... Or how about... about let's see. I like the idea of starting with the word pearlescence because it's such a fucking word to process. So I'm trying to think, how can I describe pearlescence as like almost doing, you know, like almost like an adverb. Like pearlescence is reflecting the sun. Pearlescence, how about even brilliant pearlescence? Beams like a beacon from upon the feathers of a brilliant pearlescence beams like a beacon upon the feathers. I'm tempted to say of what otherwise would look like a normal kiwi bird, like brilliant pearlescence beams like a beacon upon the feathers of a kiwi bird that sees into Magdalene's eyes. How about that? Brilliant pearlescence beams like a beacon upon the feathers of a kiwi bird that sees into Magdalen's eyes. What do you think about that? Tell me if that works or it needs to be changed. VC Angel with 199. Thank you. Look up angels in the Shaman King anime. Okay. I've read like 7 or 8. I've gotten in Shaman King to the very beginning of the Shaman fight. Like the Shaman fight just started. They found out about the history of the tribes and everything, and how they like, fucked each other over and shit. Let's go ahead and find Shaman King Angel. Oh, these look fucking badass. They're like mechs. I see what you mean by angels are machines now. It looks like a fucking Guilty Gear. These are awesome. I'm surprised I've like never seen these before. This really happens later in Shaman King? There's a bunch of mech angels show up? I mean, that's sick. They look awesome. So thank you for that. Hopefully those are like, you can make them out on screen. We'll find out how y'all feel about this sentence I wrote. Peers into her eyes, VC Angel says. I don't know. I don't think it's... Because I don't want to imply that it's looking intentionally. Like, it's more like their eyes met, you know? Maybe meets her eyes. Meets Magdalen's eyes. Yeah, let's go with that because it's shorter and I like the consonants. Or, well, that doesn't imply that it's looking necessarily. Because it just implies that it's meeting her gaze. Does that automatically imply that it's looking at her? If you meet someone's gaze, does that automatically mean that they are also looking at you? Okay, yeah, it does, to look back at someone. So yeah, we'll say it meets Magdalen's gaze. Although I've used the word gaze already at least once. And as much as I love gaze, I don't know if I want to use gaze again. Brilliant pearlescence beams like a beacon upon the feathers of a kiwi bird that meets Magdalen's gaze. Does that sound right? Sees is so cool. Okay, we'll bring back sees. That sees Magdalen's gaze. I still like that phrasing though. Okay. Brilliant pearlescence beams like a beacon upon the feathers of a kiwi bird that sees Magdalen's gaze. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I feel like we still came around to something that's phrased better than it started. What part feels clunky though? Is it the first part or... Okay, wait, you've got some notes here. Adjective feathered or noun feathered, the pearlescence of it catches of her eye? Okay, we'll look at that. Let's see. What about a kiwi bird of beaming pearlescence sees Magdalen's gaze? Because I do like the idea of this being a shorter sentence. I don't necessarily want it to feel like this moment is trapped for too long. So let's try... A kiwi bird beaming with pearlescence sees Magdalen's gaze. How's that? putting the important part in the subordinate clause. Okay, so we want beaming with pearlescence a kiwi bird sees then, right? Beaming. I mean, is pearlescently a word? Can we do that? Beaming pearlescently? It doesn't seem like it wants that. Fuck it. We're going to add pearlescently to my personal dictionary because I don't see why it wouldn't be a word. Fuck you, Google. Beaming. I don't know, what's better? Beaming in pearlescence, beaming with pearlescence, or beaming pearlescently? Let's decide this together. You don't like C's? Well, Summer Number likes C's, so now y'all gotta battle it out. You gotta fight for the right to see. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird sees Magdalene's gaze, or beaming in pearlescence, beaming with pearlescence, a kiwi bird sees Magdalene's gaze. I kind of like pearlescently. I don't see why it wouldn't be a word, and it has a nice ring to it. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird sees Magdalene's gaze. It's just weird now. Sees was good when it was sees into. Okay, well then let's go with meets. Meets. Because now we've got the consonants back. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. What do you think about that? Sees Magdalene's gaze sounds off. Makes more sense. It would be seeing Magdalene gazing. Well, that's way too much. Sees into or meets works fine. Yeah, meets is... I don't want into in there. That's too much. It's not... You don't see into their eyes. You just see their eyes. If you see somebody's eyes, you're seeing as into... You know, like... Yeah, I don't know. You can't go into eyes. Unless you're poking into their eyes. Okay, beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. That sounds perfectly good, and it's nice and short, without losing any of the meaning of what was there originally. All right, let's go back and read this whole fucking thing. Why don't we? Yeah, real quick. See where we're at. Make sure we're all on the same page with what the fuck this story even is. Real quick. Anybody who maybe is just showing up. Mahou Shoujo MAGS, the spiritual sequel to Madoka Magica, 59-year-old magical girl archaeologist story. Starts off, Book 1, MAGS to Riches. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the track creates a wash of numbness over her brain. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more witnesses nothing new on inspection. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears once more, leaping upward from just outside of the train. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. Oh shit, it's a bird. Alright, perfect. I have no issues with any of that so far. Okay, so in this moment, she's met eyes with this kiwi bird. I want her to have some kind of feeling or thought, but not fully not full recognition yet. Like, after it gets taken away, then she's going to realize what it was. Like, oh shit, that was like a magical girl thing or something. I'm also thinking there might be one more detail about it, like some kind of gem or something. Like she has to see something that indicates that's like a magical bird. I mean, being pearlescent is already pretty, pretty out there as a way for a bird to look, and the fact that it's jumping alongside the train is crazy, and meeting her gaze. All of this, very mysterious. But I feel like there's one more thing. Oh yeah, the halo. So she's gonna feel something as she notices the halo. Okay. Are we working with an outline or is this freestyle? This is totally freestyle. Basically, every step of the way, I've been asking the audience questions, and we all try to work on a satisfying answer to bring us through the next stage of the story. But the main pretense here, we started with, the first question was, what wins, good or bad? And the answer we chose was good. And then we defined what is good, and good is magical girl. And so when I thought about if the universe was being created by a magical girl's goodness, then it makes sense for this to be a spiritual sequel to Madoka Magica, which is about recreating the universe with a magical girl's goodness. So this is going to be a story about this woman who discovers that Madoka Magica reset the universe to save magical girls and erase them as a concept. But because the world is still a bleak place, and magic is still alive, as represented by this haloed kiwi bird angel thing, angel messenger, because of that, she's going to bring magical girls back and basically become the chief of magic. She's going to become the fucking Dumbledore of magical girls if we have to, alright? This is how we destabilize J.K. Rowling's bullshit, alright? The only way we can undercut the generic wizard story is with the ultimate take on the generic magical girl story. And we're centering it around our story's Dumbledore figure. The woman who is going to build a magical girl society in order to fight evil in this world. But it all starts with this encounter on a train in West Virginia with a angel messenger kiwi bird. Is she gay though? Probably, because that would be interesting. Because she is supposed to be a grandma. We started from the supposition that she's a grandma. We haven't figured out how or why she has children or whatever. We just know that she at least has grandchildren. But that does not negate her being gay whatsoever. I know lesbians with grandchildren in my personal life, so I know this is commonplace. Jay-Z's mom is a lesbian with a grandchild. So, the magical girl's first op is Chris Chan. We could definitely get a Chris Chan XP. I mean, that would have to be not the first op. That would be the big bad. I mean, maybe he could... Chris Chan, our XP of Chris Chan, if you don't know the word XP, that's a TV tropes term for a character that is, just supposed to be the same thing as another character. Our Chris Chan XP can be the big bad of this story, but they could start off small potatoes, they get their ass kicked, kind of sent along, but then they come back and keep getting stronger, ultimately revealed to be the ultimate villain at the end, exported character, that's what it stands for. Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, XPs. Make the document public so we can all wreak havoc? No. This has to be kept exactly the way it is. This is like the blockchain. This document is God of this stream. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do, but I'm really having fun with it, so I like it. The only problem with the stream is that I haven't made that much money yet. But I'm having so much fun, I'm not even tripping. So, if anybody wants to donate to the stream, by all means. If you don't want to give your money to YouTube, go to Venmo. Golden Witchfire on Venmo. Or Cash App. I don't know if my Cash App works. Use Venmo. Pearlescently beaming. I'm beaming. Beaming pearlescently. A kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. Wow, what a pearlescently beaming bird. No, I definitely prefer beaming pearlescently over pearlescently beaming. Because I just like, yeah, beaming, because it makes it feel like it's hitting you in the face. You know, like the start of the sentence is kind of, there it is, beam, you know, right in your face. This bird straight beaming. Beamingly pearlescent, that is probably more accurate grammatically, but I like the idea of making up the word pearlescently. I mean, let's see if it's recognized anywhere. Let's see if the word pearlescently is recognized by Google. It's not. It is in the free dictionary, I think. No, never mind. It just is. It just brings me up pearlescent. There's no reason for it not to be a word. So as far as I'm concerned, we're making pearlescently a word. Right here and right now. Wait, here it is. Okay, yeah, we've got it. We've got it. Everybody, it's here. It's in Wiktionary. Pearlescently. Let me make this massive. Adverb. Pearlescently. In a pearlescent way. So there we go. Beaming pearlescently is real. It is a thing you can really do. You can really beam pearlescently. All eaming words are fun. Beaming, scheming, changing. That's death grips. A whole death grape. Alright, y'all. What's gonna happen next? She's seen the bird. She's got to notice the halo. What does she feel from noticing this halo? What is the overall... What's the emotion that she's going to, like, overtake her right before something overtakes the creature? Like, just as she... I'll phrase it like, just as... Like, she notices a halo above its head, and just as she's starting to whatever, then blank. Something like that. What is the emotion? She wants to spread eagle across the block, spread eagle across the block, spread eagle across the block. I fuck the music, I make it come. I fuck the music with my serpent tongue. Hit. Alright, y'all. Send me a super chat. I'm gonna go get a beer. Her nipples get hard? Nah. Not thinking we're going that route with this. Unless you were paying me. I mean, again, I am much more likely to take suggestions no matter how outrageous if there's money behind them. She gasps. Okay. Maybe not like a full gasp, but like a, you know, like a seizing breath. A seizing breath. Her breath hitches? I've never seen that phrase before. Her breath hitches. I'm gonna look up the word hitches in this context. To move interruptedly or with halts and jerks. Okay. Um, hmm. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. Let's see. Um. Hmm. Noticing something like a jeweled halo above its head, seizes a stuttered breath from her. Well, I don't want to say from her lungs. Seizes from her a stuttered breath. Does that feel too? Is that too much? Too Shakespearean? Noticing something like a jeweled halo above its head. Maybe that's too much to say that it seizes. Noticing something like a jeweled halo above its head. What? What is the... How do we bridge this? You like the seizes? It seizes... I think seizes is too much. I think it's too much here. I think we gotta move. I think it needs something more... Noticing something like a jeweled halo above its head. It doesn't have to be so immediate as like... It fucking stole her breath away. Like, it could be like, you know, a little slower, like she then... Or she reacts, you know. It doesn't have to be reaction overtakes. It could be like... Or how about her attention is drawn? No. I don't know. Maybe this is too... Maybe I'm making this moment last too long. Kiwi bird meets her gaze. Maybe... Okay, tell me what you think about this. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo above its head before, and then we jump right into whatever is about to happen. So this makes it so it's truly a split second. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before, bam. What do you think about that? Okay. Okay, you guys seem to like it. Cool. I like this. Alright, yes. Before what, though? What is going to happen to Kiwi Bird now? Something is going to take it away. Just as soon as she gets interested, whoop, there it goes. Now, it's either going to just be the Kiwi Bird gets drawn away and then something happens to the train, or all at once. It's either going to be like, you know, just as she notices the thing, bam, all of a sudden the whole thing shakes, or all of a sudden it gets taken away, then she's like, what the fuck? Then the whole thing shakes. Baby Stabber appears. The bird is overtaken by a shapeless mass. That's kind of what that's what I have in my imagination. But I guess I'm more curious about whether we want there to be a pause first before the train gets affected. The pause is interesting. I never tried to write something live. Now I'm kind of interested. I know that Harlan Ellison used to make live compositions in bookstores with a typewriter. This is even, I would say, just me writing live would be boring if I was having all the ideas. This is more like a collaborative group project, but where I get final say. More like DMing. This is more like DMing a session, but we're all playing the same character. We're all just kind of guiding the same D&D character. A winged snake bites down on it. Ooh. Okay, so now we're defining how big of a winged snake. And also, well, if it bites it, maybe it could, so now I'm getting, this is going to get really, this would be a lot to happen all at once, but it might be cool because I could describe it. Like some kind of flying serpent tries to bite it, but there's a shield aura. You see the teeth come down, but then burn. There's some kind of, iridescent bubble around it. Gives us an excuse to also use the word iridescent. But then, it would just maybe the teeth break, and then maybe, okay, the creature tries to bite the thing, its teeth break, and it kind of goes shattering into the train. Its attempt to, so maybe it's flying from outside, clamps down, its teeth break, and then it crashes through the window, therefore taking out the train. I'm picturing Mew, in how Mew travels around in Pokemon the movie or Snap, where it's got the little bubble, the little bubble shield. The Super Smash Bros. Bubble shield. So okay, flying snake comes charging towards it, tries to bite it, breaks its teeth on the shield, goes through the window, and then, so both of them kind of fly through the train. And the force of this will knock the train, maybe knock this car off the train, or just knock it on its side somehow. We'll figure that out. We have to get through the first sentence first. So okay. This is going to be a hard thing to describe. We have to determine more about this flying snake thing. How big is this thing? Is it just a snake with wings? What is this fucking flying snake thing? Let's see what Google gives us when we type flying snake in. Or did you say snake with wings specifically? A winged snake. Okay, winged snake. Because I'm picturing a wyvern or something. Oh, I accidentally kept Kiwi Bird in there. Winged snake. Okay, so you got stuff like this. That's pretty cute. What the fuck are these things? Oh, it's just snakes that people have taped wings onto. Alright. This one's a little more like a dragon. What a doofy face he's got. This is a full-on wyvern dragon thing. Cute snake. Well, that one's a falcon snake. Oh, Quetzalcoatl. Okay, let's look up what that... Yeah, that's in the options up there. I did not know Quetzalcoatl was a dragon snake thing. Okay, so we'll say that this thing is going to be called Quetzalcoatl because it's a name that exists and it's a monster design people have a sense of. We can determine what exactly that means. Again, I mostly just want to know the size. I mean, this version is literally bigger than the mountains. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a Quetzalcoatl. struggling to get its mouth around the around this little kiwi bird, but is it just gonna bring up Lucoa pics? I don't even know what that is. Writing with chat in 50-point font. Is it only 50 point? I know I had it at 90 at one point. It's 65-point font. Yeah, I just had to make sure it's readable over there, you know. Okay, so we're creating a Quetzalcoatl. How do we want to describe this Quetzalcoatl? Like, is it just like, what's the length we're looking for? It has to be big enough to knock the train car over, but small enough to. So we'll say like maybe the length of a truck, length of like a Toyota, you know. Has B never watched Maid Dragon? I've only seen the first season, and it was 10 years ago, so my memory's not the best. Contrast with the brightness and color of the kiwi somehow. Okay, so it'll be like a coal black, like maybe with like shadow emanating off of it, like so dark it's erasing the light outside of it. So that way both of them are doing like opposite light reflection type shit. Refraction? Light refraction? The size of a train car? That could work. Yeah, okay, we'll just say it's as big as the length of the car. That makes sense. Because then it doesn't take your mind off of the fact that we're in a train. Dark and ashen. Glowing red eyes. It's the Red Eyes Black Dragon. It's just Red Eyes Black Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay. How am I going to describe this thing intruding upon the scene? She's just had time. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before I'm also trying to think, like, how is this going to look from her perspective? Like, all this is happening really quick. How much is she going to register of what the creature is in this moment, you know? Like, is this going to be, like, she immediately realizes it's a winged snake monster, or is it just going to be, like, something seems to, you know, something like a snake mouth is suddenly enclosing along it, you know, like, what are we... The villain was Joey Wheeler all along. Before another creature much larger and darkly colored. That's as much as we're going to be able to tell in this moment. I'm thinking she's just going to be able to tell it's a big dark creature. How is she going to perceive what it is doing? Like, what direction it's coming from? It's trying to bite down on this thing. So she's going to see this creature try to bite it, but a force field comes out and breaks the thing's teeth. How is that going to look for her? Much larger and darkly colored. Muzzling? Okay. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before another creature, much larger and darkly colored, tries to overtake it, or no, just overtakes it, appears behind it, should it be larger and faster and darkly colored? Well, I guess it'll be implied that it's faster if it overtakes it. Envelops. Okay. Envelops the view. Oh, I've started typing that in the chat on YouTube. Envelops the view from beyond the... Envelops the frame of the window. Window frame. Frame of... I'm trying to figure out how do I phrase the fact that the window frames the scenery and that frame is being filled or enveloped. Envelops... Envelops visibility, envelops... The action of the creature maybe should precede its physical description to underscore the suddenness of the action and swiftness of the creature. Could be. So her view is blocked by a much... Before... Before the frame of view... Alright, let's try this. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before the frame of view beyond the window is enveloped by another larger, darker creature. Let me know if anything's wrong with that. I think that sounds good. Strike. They do strike. So we'll probably involve striking. But for now, we're just... I want the next sentence to be what exactly is happening. Right now, it's just coming into view. Because she's kind of... I don't want it to seem like she just immediately could tell what was going on, because it's happening so quickly. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before the frame of... No, frame of view beyond the window is too much. Before... The frame of view is before... Larger sounds like an understatement. Well, I mean, if it's right outside the window, it wouldn't have to be that big to, like, take up the whole visibility of the train window, you know? The view is taken by something suddenly. Okay. Something like that might work. Let's see. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before The view is overtaken by a much larger, darkly colored creature. How's this? Let's see. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before the view is overtaken by a much larger, darkly colored creature. Is there anything wrong with that sentence? Slither flying. Blocked. Okay, blocked. Before the view is blocked by a much larger, darkly colored creature. How about the emergent, or the... What is a way to describe a very sudden emergence? But with one word. A larger, darker shape. Let's see. Before the view is blocked by a much larger, darker shape. Or how about a dark and much larger shape? Just like the way that flows a little better. Before the view is blocked by a dark and much larger shape. No, that doesn't sound good. Let me see. How about, actually, taking out the word before. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head. And then a mass of darkness overtakes her field of view. No, overtakes the scenery. How's that? That might not be the right phrase, but we'll think about it. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head, and then a mass of darkness overtakes the scenery. What do you think about that? A mass of darkness envelops the scenery. Okay, so and then, although I'm not sure about the phrase and then. Maybe before was better than and then. Before a mass of darkness envelops the scenery. Okay. Anybody got any problem with before a mass of darkness envelops the scenery? The only thing I'm not entirely sure about is the phrase "the scenery," but I feel like this communicates what I'm trying to say. I don't think anybody would be confused by what that means. She's looking out the window, now she can't see anything that she could see out the window. That's what this implies, right? Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before a mass of darkness envelops the scenery. That sounds correct, right? The scene? Yeah, scene might be better. Yeah, let's use scene. You don't need all that extra RY. Envelops the scene, because then it's implying the scene is what is outside the window. That's good. I'm glad you thought of that. Well, for now, we don't know that it's a creature yet. All she knows is that everything got dark outside the window. So that's why I like this description is like, we will figure out that it's a creature, but for now it's a mass of darkness. Because this sentence is mostly about noticing the halo. It's not about the other creature. This is a sentence about how she just has time to register the halo, but then something happens, you know? But what that something is not clear yet. That's why I want to keep the creature out of it for now. And then we'll describe the creature in the next sentence. So, beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before a mass of darkness envelops the scene. I think that works. I think we've done this sentence. Mass of darkness is boring. Well, what's better than a mass of darkness? I like that phrase. Not sure if it captures the lateral movement that the snake has to take to get into view. Like envelops feels like it moves in all directions. Okay, we have envelops, right? Oh, you're saying that it's too much because it feels like it's coming in from everywhere. I just don't think it would be clear where it's coming from. Like, I just think from her perspective, it would just be like, boop, it's dark now. Like, what the fuck? And then, you know, it's like, or maybe, how would you describe that something was coming from the distance inward? Like, if it's coming from out there and then, you know, attacking and going into the train, how would you describe that? I also, I'm kind of imagining, so let's say the thing is bouncing next to the train, right? And the thing was chasing it from behind. And then maybe it kind of snaked outward and then came in, you know? So that would be why it's kind of coming in from like a, you know, an odd direction. It would be different if this was an animation and we were trying to show what was happening more literally, but this is more about her perspective. It's a darkness just suddenly enveloped it, you know, but in the next sentence, we'll have approaching, approaches the scene before a massive dark. No, I don't think approaches can work here. And also approach sounds too slow. It's not productive to think about the specifics at this stage. Well, I don't know. I feel like we've gotten every sentence pretty nailed down so far. You know, I want to make sure we've got an exact idea of what is happening. All of us together. I'm fine with envelops, and I'm fine with envelops the scene. It's just a matter of if there's a way to give that a directional feeling, but I don't think there needs to be one right yet. So, but the next sentence, okay. So the mass of darkness envelops the scene. What happens next is going to be something that she can only tell that this, what even is happening, because this is something that would happen in anime, is that this thing is going to use a little barrier shield to protect itself from a bite. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna describe that, because that sounds difficult to describe. And I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And I'm gonna, once again, beg for super chats, because I ain't been getting them. I've just been entertaining everybody, including myself, for free. And that's a damn shame. You know why? Because I don't have any damn money. Alright, I'm going to the bathroom. Alright. How are we going to write this next sentence, everybody? Smothers the scene. For a mass of darkness smothers the scene. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. What do y'all think? Smothers? What do you think? I need opinions on this. Smothers versus envelops. Summer number 15,532 with 222 pound. Thank you very much. How do I feel about the writing style of Madoka? Madoka's interesting because it's very like arc structured for being such a short show. I think it's the kind of show that it really keeps you on your toes the first time watching it, but in a way that can be frustrating. For me personally, I'm not a fan of mysteries. I don't like when I feel like a show is keeping me in the dark about something just for the sake of it. And I don't think Madoka does that in like too bad of a way. But like the whole fact that Madoka herself like doesn't really transform for such a long time, like it's the kind of thing where in retrospect it feels like it was the point, but when you're watching the show you're just kind of like waiting, like, okay, well, is she ever going to transform? Is like, what is going, like, it's just hard to tell what's really going to matter in the long run, and it keeps throwing you for a loop. But I think it's very clever at what it sets out to do, because even still to this day, people who don't know what they're getting into watching that show, even if you start watching it and you think it kind of feels like a little creepy or a little horror tinged at the start, you're not really expecting it to get as gruesome as it gets in episode 3. And so, like, but once you hit that point, I feel like that shock value almost overtakes the rest of the story, where, like, nothing else ever is quite so shocking. At least until Homura's time loops thing. And I think that's the part that kind of really clinched the show for a lot of people. Is like, it starts off just kind of a weird, moody, magical girl show. Then it becomes this really dark, violent, serious kind of drama. And then it becomes like this really cool conceptual thing where you've got the crazy sci-fi and the ending that gets all philosophical and big mind. So it's kind of like, the starting segment is like standard magical girl stuff. The middle segment is like, interpersonal drama with high stakes. And then the ending segment is like save the world epic, and all that within 13 episodes. So I do think it's kind of lopsided. I think it's a lot. It's a very ambitious show for how little space it has. But there's just so many ideas packed into it. Like, there's so much cleverness about what it's trying to do with magical girls, like the way it's subverting the expectations by having the main character not transform for most of the show, and then when she does, it like ends the show basically. So yeah, it's full of interesting ideas. I think it definitely deserved the impact that it had. And yeah, we're done with this sentence. So the next sentence, what we're trying to figure out next is how we're going to describe the fact that this snake monster tries to bite down on Kiwi Bird, and Kiwi Bird puts up some kind of Mew-esque barrier that like breaks this thing's teeth, and then it careens into the train. And all of this is going to happen in like a second. So I'm gonna have to really think about how this gets described. What's the first thing that has to be understood? Like, what's the first concept in this sentence? Teeth, a shape. Will we recognize it as a snake in time? Do I need like a what appears to be Or should I just say, like, it's a wings, like, a winged snake, you know, bites down. Like, how direct can we be here? Story so far in target length. Target length, probably a whole novel. It's probably going to take a lot of live streams to finish this story. But we'll read through the whole thing so far, because it'll only take a second. Let's see. Okay, this is Mahou Shoujo MAGS, set in a universe where Madoka erased magical girls from history. And this 59-year-old grandma is going to figure that out and then bring them back. Book 1, MAGS to Riches. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the tracks creates a wash of numbness over her brain. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more witnesses nothing new on inspection. Unable to... Should that be upon inspection? Upon inspection. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare upon... Well, now there's two upons, and I'm not happy with that anymore. On inspection. She holds her glare... Well, this one should be upon, and that one shouldn't. More witnesses... Okay. Same glint again, and once more witnesses nothing new upon inspection. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, she holds her glare on the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears once more, leaping upward from just outside of the train. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before a mass of darkness smothers the scene. So, that's where we're at. Old lady on a train, riding through West Virginia, sunset, reading a manga, Creamy Mommy, kind of dissociating, sees a glint, something bouncing outside the window. It's a kiwi, a weird pearlescent kiwi with a halo, and then whoosh, darkness overtakes it. Now this darkness, as we've decided here in the chat writing, is a big black winged snake that is trying to bite down on this kiwi bird, but the kiwi bird is going to create some kind of force field and break its teeth, I think. But we're trying to figure out how we're going to describe that. How are we going to describe it? Do we immediately recognize it as a giant snake monster thing? Or do we just see teeth? Like, do we just see the flash of something like teeth, you know, and then we find out afterwards what the monster is? Like, how soon do we realize this is a big winged snake monster? And how do we describe it trying to bite down on this kiwi? What things could you mistake it as? It's not so much that you would mistake it as that you wouldn't be able to tell what the fuck's going on that quickly. But I don't know. It probably would look like a giant winged snake, right? Something like jaws snap at the bird but fail to close on their target as if something is blocking them. No, that's not... I'm not worried about describing the shield. I'm just worried about describing the jaws. Just the, like... What would you perceive is happening before the shield comes up? Like, how much would she notice? Like, okay, it's a giant winged snake monster with huge teeth trying to bite down. Is it enough to just jump right to that? You would guess it was another train, but there wouldn't... I mean, a train wouldn't be any more normal for another train to be coming at you from that angle. A flurry of teeth and wings. That's an interesting direction. Okay. What if something fanged? Something fanged. Hold on. Maybe fangs like cleavers. Okay, how about fangs like cleavers nearly close upon the kiwi? A massive darkness smothers the scene. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gums of something like a giant coal black winged snake. How's that? Let's see here. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gums of something like a giant coal black winged snake. What do you think about that? Anything wrong with that? Suddenly the Unabomber shows up and starts unibombing everywhere. The gums of a gaping maw. Okay. Fangs like cleavers. From the gum. Okay, yeah. Fangs like cleavers. We've got shooting from the gums of a gaping maw down here. Okay, yeah. Shooting. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gums of a gaping maw of fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gums. No, I don't like how much of is there, or from of. Shooting from the gums of is a little too much. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi. Maybe just shooting from a gaping maw. Shooting from a gaping... Shooting from the gaping maw of a giant. Coal black winged snake. How about this? Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal black winged snake. That sounds correct. And who doesn't love the phrase gaping maw? Has putrid rot fills gaping maws. If gaping maw wasn't a phrase in the Gwar song Gorgor, I probably wouldn't use it because it's kind of generic, but it is, so it goes. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal black winged snake. Actually, that's going to be a semicolon because this is an action that's going to be interrupted, and I don't want it to seem like it's a whole new sentence. You know, this is going to be stopped. So until we'll say until an iridescent until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird that shatters those fangs. That's a little too wordy. Let's see here. Hold on. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird, breaking the fangs on impact like brittle, like peanut brittle. There we go. Fangs like cleavers nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird, breaking the fangs on impact like peanut brittle. Or we'll say and breaks. And breaks the fangs on impact like peanut brittle. There we go, that sounds right. Cleavers are very thin though, doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking about the length. How about fangs long as cleavers? Or cleaver length fangs. Let's do that. Yeah. Because then cleaver is the first word. That sounds cool. Cleaver-length fangs nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird and breaks the fangs on impact like peanut brittle. And breaks the fangs? Maybe its fangs? Let's see. Cleaver-length fangs nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake. All that's correct. Until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird. Correct. And breaks the fangs, and breaks its fangs. No. And shatters the long teeth. And shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. How's that? Is it alright to call them the long teeth? Because it kind of feels like I've depowered them. Like, they started this sentence as cleaver-length fangs, but now that they're breaking, they're just long teeth. I think that's kind of fun, right? Why would peanut brittle not be a thing in this world? It's West Virginia. Shattering like fallen icicles. Could be fun. Alright, let's see here. Okay, so this whole paragraph, we'll read it back. Okay. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalen's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before a mass of darkness smothers the scene. Cleaver-length fangs nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake, until an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird and shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. Yeah, alright, that checks out to me. Canines instead of long teeth. No, the point is to make them sound weak, though. Like, they literally went from cleaver-length fangs to long teeth. You know, I just like the idea of, like, really depowering them incredibly across the sentence. Try to instead of nearly, but that doesn't imply how close it is. Like, I want it to seem like, I want your vision to be that the teeth were that close, and then they got broken by this force field. Massive fangs is fine, but that's not as poetic as cleaver length. I think cleaver length is great. I really like it, actually. Cleaver length fangs, because, like, everybody's imagining. Like, if you imagine a cleaver, you're imagining the psycho guy, right? Like the big knife you would stab somebody with. So you're imagining that this is like two Jason knives coming down towards you, cleaver length, But, like, I'm telling you that it's as long as a cleaver, but it is still a fang, but you're imagining a cleaver because I used that word, So it's like, you have an exact image of what type of fang this is. It looks like a cleaver, except that it's not thin like a cleaver. It's as long as a cleaver, but it evokes the imagery of cleaver. Cleaver length fangs, nearly close. Also, I like the cleaver close. I'm a big fan of consonants anywhere I can do it. So cleaver length fangs nearly close around the kiwi, close around the kiwi. I like, cleaver close kiwi. Shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake, an iridescent force field appears surrounding the small bird and shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. Yeah, I'm very satisfied with that sentence. We don't have to touch that up at all. Doesn't roll off the tongue very well. What do you mean? Cleaver length doesn't roll off your tongue? Cleaver length fangs. I don't see a problem with that. Cleaver long? That's not English. When you imagine a cleaver, you think of Reina Ryugu. Yeah, like a murderous, Cleaver is a butcher knife like the square one. Even better. All that matters is that it's how long it is. Cleaver long sounds better than cleaver length. I just can't. Cleaver long is not a. You don't describe things that way, though. You don't say it's a knife-long spoon. You say it's a knife-length spoon. Like, you would use long if it was like 25 feet long. You wouldn't say 25 feet length. You'd say 25 feet long. But you wouldn't say a car length or a car long driveway. You'd say a car length driveway. I'm not imagining the right knife. It doesn't fucking matter. It's the length of it that I referenced. It looks like a knife. I don't think the point is the word cleaver sounds good. It's not about the shape. It's a cleaver length tooth. You're imagining a tooth. But it's the length of a big sharp knife. You're not telling me you didn't imagine the right thing when I wrote this. I will not believe that anybody imagined the wrong thing when they read cleaver length fang. I don't believe you. If I said it was a cleaver shaped fang, then this would really matter. This would be a big deal. If it was a cleaver shaped fang, it would definitely matter whether it was square or the other one. However you would describe the shape of the psycho knife. I predict about 349 streams to first draft finished. I don't know, we're not making that bad of progress here. This isn't the worst. This could take a lot longer. We've got 236 words. That's like 1/6 or 7th of what we would need to be able to write a novel in a month at that rate. So it's taken us 2 hours to get here. So we'll say it'll take a couple years probably to write a novel length at this pace and this rate. But this is also really slow because there's not that many people in chat. So I can't get suggestions instantaneously and constantly. And also, nobody's paying me, which incentivizes me to go to the bathroom again. I'm gonna keep abandoning you. Abandonment's the only threat I know. See, the problem is, I had the idea for this stream because I was on Victor's stream yesterday, Vic and Hope, and I was playing up my whole "give me money just to exist" character. This attitude I've had of like, hey, I live stream so that people will give me money. And he was making fun of it. He's like, oh, you're really trying to be like a no content streamer, huh? Like, have no imagination, not really provide any content. And I was like, oh, you want to see content? All right, I'll show you some imaginative shit. I'll show you some clever, fucking, interesting, new ways of doing stuff. I'll show you some fucking innovation. And so far, I'm not making almost any money, except for from June, who just gave $1.99, saying use a specific brand of peanut butter brittle for the description. What is a specific peanut brittle brand? All right, peanut brittle brands. See's Candies, Old Dominion, Peanut Brittle, Virginia Diner, Gourmet, Munch. Nah, none of these are recognizable enough. Brittle Brothers? Nah. Peanut Brittle's fine. It's already a weirdly specific thing to compare something to. I'm sure you're joking anyways, but I think we're better off with just Peanut Brittle on this one. It's already such an unexpected, unpowering phrase. I don't want you to have to think about it too much. Cleaver equals big blade shorthand. Also horror association. Or do you want 2 giant swords, 2 long and generic, or 2 piercing javelins? Doesn't roll off the tongue. Yeah, no. For what it's worth, when I say I am done with the sentence, I'm done with the sentence. I am not going back. So when I said I'm satisfied, I'm done with the sentence, it's over. We are not changing anything else. I like the sentence. So far, every sentence of this, I have no problem with. Even when I read it back, somebody suggested something, and I read it and I went, nah, I'm fine. I'm fine with all of this as it is so far. On my screen, this is 67 pages. On your screen, it is 28 pages. 28 pages worth of 3 paragraphs. Word count 236. Okay. So the teeth shattered like peanut brittle. What has to happen next is that the snake has to crash into the train. So we have to figure out how we're describing. Like it tried to bite down, its teeth broke, and then it's just gonna kind of barrel into the train. So we gotta determine how that's gonna happen. And hopefully more people will pay me for my immense creativity and groundbreaking ideas and general genius. Whether you intended or not, cleaver evokes the image of a rectangle. I mean, if you read the phrase cleaver length fangs and you imagine that they look like rectangles, that's fine. The fucking fangs can be rectangles. I don't give a shit. It's a safe space for pedants. That's funny. Rather be pedantic than rather it be a safe space for pedants than pedos. That's for sure. All right. This kiwi has shielded itself. It's broken the teeth off this giant black winged snake. Now the snake has to crash into the train somehow. You're dying on the anti-cleaver hill. I haven't seen a better suggestion, is the thing. Nobody has told me what the knife that I was comparing it to is actually called. Like, maybe if you had just said the name of the knife you think it should be compared to, that would help. But otherwise, you will be dead on that hill. June with $4.99. Thank you very much. What kind of art do you think we could use more of? You have ideas of what you'd like to see? Example, I want to see more Abyss stuff. Dark Souls didn't do enough. Interesting. I want to see more stuff that is people having challenging conversations and just like enjoying discomfort. I feel like people have gotten so discomfort avoidant that like almost the point of society seems to be to remove all uncomfort, and I think it's incredibly misguided because I mean, okay, we'll use anime for a metaphor, why not, right? Think about Psycho-Pass. In that series they had basically done everything possible to make stress not a thing. And so people either function really well because they don't feel stressed because they have such a fulfilling place in society, or they're just like completely numb. Like they just go into a state of utter numbness because they don't feel like they can contribute anything, but stress is not allowed. So like, but I think that you have to have a good relationship with stress. Like the real answer is you have to accept stress, let it be a part of your life, and learn to deal with it. Because you can get used to it. Like you can get used to living in a way where you accept that like stress and discomfort are a part of it. And the only way you'll ever be able to help other people is by accepting some level of stress and discomfort. Like the kinds of people who need your help and the kind of help that they need, those people are going to stress you out. They are going to be uncomfortable people. They are literally uncomfortable. That's why they need help. They are uncomfortable. So like in order to bring comfort to others, you sometimes have to take on a little bit of discomfort yourself. And I think that it literally makes you stronger. It makes you more capable if you deliberately go out of your way to make yourself uncomfortable all the time. If you do that and you just get used to being in a state of discomfort, then when new discomfort comes to your door, it's not shocking. It's not anything new. It doesn't make you, you're not stopped where you stand, you know, like you can keep going because you're used to discomfort. That's just a fact of life. And so I think we need a lot more stories that, not necessarily that they are incredibly uncomfortable, but that they try to incentivize feeling discomfort. Like stories that are about trying to make you feel uncomfortable in a way that empowers you, you know, in a way that makes you think, okay, well, that was really uncomfortable, but now I know how to approach life a little better. Maybe that's really vague, but I think when you describe abyss content, I feel like that's kind of what I'm talking about, as well, because I think abyss and I think void, and I consider what I do to be void gazing content. It's about reminding you to constantly be thinking like, I could die any moment. I could die any moment. So if you are in that mindset, you will never let this moment suck. You're like, oh, well, you know, if I die 2 minutes from now, am I going to be like, wow, I really died doing this? You know, like that's my mentality all the time. It's like if I find myself in a position where I'm feeling like lethargic and sad and shitty, and then I think like, well, what if I died like 5 minutes from now? This is not how I want to go out, you know? Like, so I think there needs to be, yeah, just more of like an urge on people's part to realize that like this moment might be the best it's ever gonna be. You know, like as shitty as you might feel right now, it might be the best you're going to feel for the rest of your life. So enjoy it, no matter how shitty it is. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, and all of us are Sisyphus. We're all pushing a boulder infinitely uphill. You just gotta enjoy the boulder. Fuck your boulder. Love your boulder. Be in love with your boulder. I'm gonna read the rest of the chat. Let's make the fangs cleaver shaped. It's how the snake species works. I walked into a history lecture the other day and they were talking about centering discomfort. I think it's the right approach, like as a method of thinking. Yeah. Yeah. I just think most people try to stop thinking about something that makes them uncomfortable. Like they feel the discomfort and then they dissociate from it, or they try to make it go away. And it's like, if something makes me uncomfortable, I want to know why. I want to know what I can do about it. You know, if I can't do anything about it, I need to accept it. I'm not trying to pretend it's not there. You know, or not even accept it. I need to constantly, like if it's something I can't accept, I need to be constantly working to make it not that way anymore. You know, but that's not always something achievable within reasonable bounds. But like if something makes you that uncomfortable, you shouldn't stop. You shouldn't give up on trying to make it, you know, different. My bro said that's low-key half of Uncut Gems. Interesting. And Uncut Gems was a very difficult movie for me to watch. And that's another thing, like, even though I'm saying all this about wanting more uncomfortable art, there is a lot of it, and I will say I am not the first person to go seeking it out. Like, particularly in the realm of film, there is a lot of movies that make me really uncomfortable. And I have to be prepared. Like, I have to go into it with the mindset of, like, I'm about to make myself uncomfortable on purpose, you know? June with another $2. Thank you very much. June bankrolling this whole stream for the rest of you. Do you think anything you've seen accomplishes that? Of making you uncomfortable in like a healthy way? Is that what I can't remember exactly what I said before you asked this question, but like when I think about uncomfortable art, especially like movies, for instance, the most recent one I can remember watching was Climax, by what the fuck is his name? That dude who makes all those French extreme movies, and it was like, you know, it was an uncomfortable movie. It was like the first half of it is uncomfortable in kind of an enjoyable way, and then it immediately just becomes like as bad as it could be with discomfort, and the whole rest of the experience is just like, oh well, I guess we're in this now. Like, I guess we're now in hell, so let's just be in hell for a bit, you know? Um, and The Boys. The Boys is like a very... The Boys is one where I feel like that is a show I simultaneously would recommend to everybody and would not recommend to anybody. Because it for me, it's literally traumatic. Like watching, I have images from The Boys and ideas from that show that are just stuck in my brain because they are such good extreme metaphors for reality. Like for instance, so The Boys, if you don't know, it's a show about there's superheroes exist, but they're basically just genetic mutation freaks, and it's very hard to predict what like superpowers are going to manifest as. You know, if the person's personality is going to be bad, are they going to be a good hero, bad hero? Like, so this big corporation tries to manage all of it. They basically are in charge of all the superheroes. They are heavily in control of their whole image. But the way superheroes are treated is exactly the same as celebrities in real life. Because in order for this corporation to make the money to control the superheroes, they have to be a marketing firm. They have to be a talent management agency. So they've basically turned these heroes into celebrities, but like real life celebrities, a lot of them, most of them, are fucking terrible people. And they're just so powerful, there's nothing you can really do to stop them from doing what they want. It's more that you have to cover up all the fuck ups that they do. But it's like super level fuck ups. So The Boys is a lot of what happens in it is really haunting and fucked. But it's also real. And for example, recently, I don't know if this is entirely true, but from what I understand, there was this roast recently of football legend Tom Brady. Hilarious roast. The whole thing was really funny. But it's a bunch of rich comedians and rich actors, or rather, rich comedians, a few rich actors, and a bunch of rich football players up on the stage roasting each other. One of them is a big dude named Ron Gronkowski. Everybody jokes about how dumb this guy is the whole time. He's basically a caveman. He's just a big brick wall of a guy. And Ron gets up, he does his set, he's funny, he's shit-faced, and he takes his shot glass and spikes it against the stage, shattering it into a billion pieces. Some of that glass flies into the audience and blinds a random audience member. Now, Ron Gronkowski is not going to go to prison for this because he has infinite money to pay for that person's life, I guess, from now on, probably. But yeah, somebody's just like blind now because that guy, in his infinite richness, is not considering consequences of anything. Fully willing to just throw glass on the ground, whatever. I'm having a party. It's all about me. You know? That's The Boys in real life. The same thing as the show. Just a little bit less violent than what would probably happen in The Boys. It probably would have blown her head off or something, but, you know, same difference. So that's what I think of when I think uncomfortable show, but it makes you feel like you understand the world better and you're more prepared for it afterwards. Because you're really thinking about, like, what people can get away with, you know, what you need to look out for, what you need to avoid, but also a constant reminder that, yeah, like, really powerful people can just make a decision that kills everyone, you know, real quick. Nobody's talking in chat anymore, so I assume that I've described so much darkness, you've all gone into a void hole, and you're just staring blankly and thinking about how sad everything is now. That's just what I assume, because nobody's saying anything anymore. Only watched a few episodes so far, but Good Discomfort is Silver Spoon. The anime Silver Spoon? I never thought of that as an uncomfortable show. That's interesting. He's got fasting black lungs, made of close splintered shards. They're the kind that will talk through a in every pore, and every time it just makes me warm. Freeze without an answer, free from all the shame. Let me hide, 'cause I'll never sleep alone. Look at how they flock to him from an isle of open sores. He knows that the taste is such to die for. And I hear him every night on every street. The scales that do slither deliver me from freeze without an answer, free from all the shame. June with 199 says thoughts on Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man rules. Chainsaw Man is super fucking good. I've read the original run. I have not picked up the new run yet. But I've heard it stayed good and only gotten weirder, which is saying something, because it was already fucking weird. Chainsaw Man is like you get the feeling that what's his name? Tatsuki Fujimoto, is that his name? Am I getting it right? I get the feeling he's seen a whole lot of movies. And he's always trying to capture like a cinematic feeling, but the particular, it's like that ambivalence. I would almost compare it to Adventure Time in this sense, in that they're both stories that are like for young people. I would say Adventure Time like 5 years younger than Chainsaw Man, but they're both stories that are for like a young audience, but go as uncomfortable as they possibly could within that paradigm. Like Chainsaw Man is, it's fun, it's funny, it's action-packed, it follows a lot of the rules and formula of shonen, but it's also just like really sad. Every character's story is really sad. Most of the characters die really horribly. There's always like sudden, shocking twists and turns. It moves between arcs really quickly, so like it'll settle you into something, let you get used to something, and then snatch it away, and then fuck it up, you know, and it's always subverting expectations, tossing and turning. I think the first run was only 10 volumes. It felt a lot longer. Like, it feels so substantial because each arc feels like such an emotional journey that has its own tone, like almost its own art style. Like, he'll change the feel of the manga so heavily between different arcs that it has this very palpable sense of evolution, and especially as like the powers escalate, but in like the powers are already so weird that it's never like just, okay, this guy got his power level up. It's like, no, now their powers can break reality in some different way, you know. They're getting sent to the hell dimension and shit, and like just the artwork gets so fucking nuts as you go further in, and like conceptually what's happening gets really crazy. And then, you know, all the turns for the characters in the story are hard hitting. I don't want to spoil anything. The relationship between Denji and Power is one of the most charismatic shonen, like buddy, just, you know, best friends thing. Like basically like Gon and Killua, but more endearing, in my opinion. They are kind of like the same. They're not that different of people, but there's the subtleties that make them different is what makes them such a great pair. Is that they're like similar in a lot of ways, but everything that makes them different is perfect. You know, it makes them gel together like one unit. And, you know, the portrayal of their friendship with Aki, and everything involving Makima is just like really brilliant. The core characters and core story really stuck with me from Chainsaw Man. Each individual arc, as cool as it is, I don't remember the characters in those arcs as strongly, but partly that might also be because like, you know, the anime only covered the first like fourth, if that, so far. And so all of that's a little fresher in my mind because I saw it all again in the anime. But Illusion with check 20 says, not the title, but stop singing and write, please. Well, maybe I will, but nobody has told me yet how we're doing this. I feel like I've asked several times how we should start this next sentence, and nobody's given me any suggestions yet. What is supposed to be happening here is that this snake that just broke its fangs on this barrier is going to crash into the train. But I don't know how to describe the fashion in which it is going to crash into this train. You did? What did you say? Let me go back. Let me scroll back up. Let's see. You were dying on the Procleaver Hill. Okay, next. Pieces of teeth or debris or shrapnel whiz by our main character's head as they pierce the train walls. This makes her duck and cover, which ultimately makes her survive the wagon tumbling. Okay, interesting. So the teeth aren't just going to shatter, but they're going to, like, explode then. Because I was just picturing because, like, you know, peanut brittle just kind of breaks and falls apart like it's nothing. So if it breaks like peanut brittle, it would just kind of fold up in, like, the fangs would just crack and fold up into themselves. They wouldn't, like, explode out. But it could crash into the window, and then, you know, window splinters come flying at her. I'm gonna think about this while I go piss again. I got fucking very pissy today. I'm drinking too much tea and cider. Okay. The sound would be intense. Yeah, that's definitely true. Ooh, a sound from the shield shattering the windows. That could be interesting. Hmm. An iridescent force field appears surrounding... How about an iridescent force field flashes... No. An iridescent force field... An iridescent force field surrounding the small bird flashes into view? Flashes into view? Is that a phrase? Visibly flashes? Flashes visibly? Flashes... No. Flash just flashes? Or the flash of? Until the flash of an iridescent force field surrounding the small bird shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. Okay, so let's try. Until the flash of an iridescent force field surrounding the small bird shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. This way, because when I said appears, it makes it sound like the force field stays there. If it's just a flash indicating that the force field was always there, but it's only becoming visible when it's on impact, that makes it seem like it has more force behind it, so that it could create some kind of pulse or explosion, you know? So it's like there's a flash happen, and that flash is going to be what creates this shockwave, I think. Kind of an otherworldly clang of the shield deflecting the teeth. Everything outside should sound silent or dampened, so the sense of sound should come at the point of collision. Yeah. Okay. So, the flash of an iridescent force field surrounding the small bird shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. I'm thinking like a pulse of force. A pulse of force let's see. A pulse of force. Erupts. Erupts out of. A pulse of force erupts out of. Erupts from the bird? An eruption of force pulses from the bird. An eruption of force pulses from the collision. An eruption of force pulses from the collision as if detonated. How about as it? An eruption of force pulses as if detonated from the collision. By the collision. How's that? An eruption of force pulses as if detonated by the collision. How does that sound? That makes sense? Let's see what you guys are saying. An iridescent ring of light flies outward from the bird, followed by a glass smashing sound that makes all air cup their ears in pain. Yeah, that sounds... A pulse of force erupts from the collision. Pulse erupts, not eruption pulses. Okay, yeah. Clash. Clash is good, yeah. Okay, so... A pulse erupts... A pulse of force erupts from the collision, or from the, what was the word you just said? From the clash. Maybe the clash point. A pulse of force erupts from the clash point. No, what's the noise? How would we describe this noise real quick? A pulse of force erupts from the clash point, thundering explosively and what we'll say is thundering explosively, immediately, well, no, thundering explosively and immediately blasting out every window on the train. A pulse of force erupts from the clash point, thundering explosively. We don't need the and there. Thundering explosively. We don't even need immediately. Thundering explosively, blasting out every window on the train. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to describe how quickly that before everyone can get their hands on their ears, the snake's going to crash into it and knock the car over. A pulse of force erupts from the clash point, thundering explosively. No. A thundering pulse of force erupts from the clash point explosively, blasting out every window on the train. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to bridge that into the next part. Point of impact, cacophonous, tremorously. I'm frozen? Oh, fuck. Okay, it was frozen because the camera went on to low battery mode because I guess it drained this external, and now it's only at 20% on the phone itself. So this will actually have to wrap up probably pretty soon so I can go charge my battery, and then we'll continue. We just got to finish this scene real quick. Let's at least finish what's happening right at this moment. A thundering pulse of force erupts from the clash point. Wait, what was the replacement word you had for that? Point of impact. Okay, yeah, point of impact. No, I like clash point. Right? Well, here, pulse of force erupts. Yeah, clash point sounds cool. A thundering pulse of force erupts from the clash point explosively. Maybe we'll just say explodes from the clash point. Yeah. A thundering pulse of force explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train. Sending every passenger's hands earward, only for the hulking snake's body to earward. No, not only for. That isn't. That's not. That's trying too hard. Let's see. Okay. A thundering pulse of force explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train and sending every passenger's hands earward. Before the interruption of the massive snake's body crashing into Magdalene's train car. Heaves it from the track. Let's try that. Let's see how this sounds. A thundering pulse of force explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the massive snake's body crashing into Magdalene's train car heaves it from the track. What do you think about that? That's a lot of action in one sentence. But I think it might work. Faster than the speed of hands clapping, ears in pain. A violent lurch is felt, sending everyone tumbling into the air. That could work. Quicker, let's see. A thundering pulse of force explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train. And sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalene's train car heaves it from the track. I like that. It's complicated, but in a fun way, I think. Tell me if anything is obviously wrong with this. Let's see. A thundering pulse of force explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train. That's a little clunky. Blasting out every window on the train. What's a better way to phrase blasting out every window on the train? Pulse of force, instead use shockwave. That could work. Let's see. Yeah, thundering shockwave. That sounds good. That's more of a normal word. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting out every window on the train. Do I just want to say shattering every window on the train? But that's not... I want them to be blasted out, but it's the phrase every window on the train. Blasting out all of the windows? How about that? How about just all of the windows? We know they're the windows on the train. It's just that every window would sound weird, but all of the windows doesn't sound as weird. it also just kind of, it doesn't have to necessarily imply that, like, yes, every window on the train, like all the windows, whatever. It's just all the windows, you know. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting out all of the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalen's train car heaves it from the track. Busting every window on the train. I don't like shattering as much as blasting out because blast implies the force that would send the glass flying. If it's something can shatter and just fall, blasting implies that it travels. It could also be blasting in all the windows on the train. That's what I'm missing. That's what's bothering me. The windows aren't going out, they're going into the train. Blasting in. Yes. Okay. That's what was bothering me. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in all of the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalen's train car heaves it from the track. Should it be crashes into Magdalen's train car, heaving it from the track, or do you prefer crashing heaves or crashes heaving? Massive body crashing heaves or massive body crashes heaving? I think I like crashes heaving because then it makes it more like two different things, like one and then the other. Massive body crashes, comma, heaving Magdalen's train car into, or heaving Magdalen's train car from the track and into the air, as Illusion pointed out I should add. Okay. So now it says, a thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in all of the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashes, heaving Magdalen... Well, no, I fucked that up. Crashes into Magdalen's train car, heaving it from the track and into the air. That's how it should be. I don't know how I mixed these words up. Crashes into Magdalen's train car, heaving it from the track and into the air. Okay, let's read that one more time. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in all of the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashes into Magdalen's... No, now the interruption part doesn't make sense. Before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing... It has to be crashing because of the way I set it up with interruption. Crashing into Magdalen's train car, heaves it... Alright, we ended up undoing that change because I realized it didn't make as much sense as I thought. Let's try this one more time. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in all of the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalen's train car heaves it from the track and into the air. Okay, that's fine. I'm not doing anything more with that. Unless someone has a really good idea. I think it's probably fine. Maybe instead of all the windows, every window. But I feel like or saying like, it just like makes it feel a little bit more like, yeah, specifically all of them. You know, like if I say all of the windows, I feel like it could be all the windows in my view. If I say every window, it's like necessarily every single window, which just seems a little more, like a little too specific. You know, it makes me, instead of imagining all the windows around me blowing up, it makes me like imagine the train from the outside and seeing all of its windows go, you know, as opposed to like what's right in the field of view. That's the main reason I feel that way. It's not that big a difference, but to me it seems, cut the quantifier, which one's the, just make it windows, could just be windows. Blasting in the windows, yeah, sure. Just blasting in the windows. That's fine. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalene's train car heaves it from the track and into the air. Okay. That's satisfying. Okay. Well, shit, guys. Our old lady's flying through the air in a train car. I want to center this back down to Magdalene. So the next paragraph should start with how is she being affected by this. Now remember, this can be as anime as we want. She's a 59-year-old archaeologist. She's tough. She's an explorer. She's experienced. She's out in the mountains of West Virginia. She sees a little kiwi with a halo, a jeweled halo over its head, almost get eaten by a snake, but then pulses out a fucking barrier that blows out all the windows, and the snake crashes into the train and literally heaves it off the track. So what now? I might have to end this, though, because you're not sure what the interruption means. Everybody is interrupted in the process of putting their hands to their ear. So I'm implying that they are... every passenger's hands... Hold on. Sending every passenger's hands earward before the interruption of the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalene's train car heaves it from the track. So the interruption is to the process of sending the passenger's hands earward. Should it be before they are interrupted? And then I could change the rest of it back to, but I don't like that as much, because it's just, I like that it's, I don't know, maybe we don't need to mention the interruption of maybe it could just be before the snakes. Yeah, we don't need all that. I don't know why I always overcomplicated it, thinking I need more words. Sending every passenger's hands earward before the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalene's car and moves it from the track. Yeah, I mean, the interruption is implied, right? The interruption is implied by the fact that it happens. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the snake's massive body crashing into Magdalene's train car heaves it from the track and into the air. Yeah, that reads exactly the same. Thanks for pointing that out. I don't think we needed it at all. I don't think we needed that. The interruption was in fact implied. Okay. We've been going for 3 hours. I gotta wrap this up because of my batteries dying. It looks like I froze again. I did indeed freeze a second time because the battery is down to 10%. So we're gonna end this very soon. We have enough time. If anybody has anything they want me to rant about, I can take 1 or 2 super chats before I have to go plug everything in. But that's all we're gonna write for now. In fact, while I wait for you all to type, I will read back one more time the full text that we've developed today. Took us 3 hours to write 3 paragraphs, I think. Paragraph an hour, that's not the worst rate I've ever heard of. And the story's good. That's the important part. So far, everything we've written is solid, keepable content. A lot happened in these 3 paragraphs. Let's see. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the track creates a wash of numbness. Let's say over this her, I'm realizing, we never, even though we all know that Magdalene is a 59-year-old woman, it's never really come up yet in the actual text. So I'm wondering if this place where I say her is a place where I could include a little bit more description of, like, the old woman, the aging adventurer, over the aging adventurer's brain. So now that implies that she's an aging adventurer. Okay, let's go back to the start, now that we've made an early change. I know I said I wasn't changing anything about these old sentences, but I lied. Book 1, Mags to Riches. A passenger train rumbles through the valley carved by West Virginia's New River. Amid the passengers, one Magdalene, be careful how you pronounce it, on her way to visit the newly inducted national park at the state's heart. Glancing intermittently through the window toward a sunset that bleeds beautifully over the mountaintops, and then down at the pages of the latest Seven Seas publication of Creamy Mommy, the noisy clatter of cars on the track creates a wash of numbness over the aging adventurer's brain. Sunlight glints upon something just for a split second outside the window. At least she thinks so, but can't see anything when she checks. While forgetting this happened and returning to her book, she is distracted by the same glint again, and once more witnesses nothing new upon inspection. Unable to put the thought out of her mind, and we'll just say out of mind, we don't need her there, do we? Unable to put the thought out of mind, she holds her glare on the whizzing outdoor scenery until the glint appears once more, leaping upward from just outside of the train. Beaming pearlescently, a kiwi bird meets Magdalene's gaze. There is only time for her to register what resembles a jeweled halo floating over its head before a mass of darkness smothers the scene. Cleaver-length fangs nearly close around the kiwi, shooting from the gaping maw of a giant coal-black winged snake, until the flash of an iridescent force field surrounding the small bird shatters the long teeth on impact like peanut brittle. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward before the snake's massive body crashes into Magdalene's train car, heaving it from the track and into the air. We have to change that again, don't we? Because we took out the offending word that made it so that didn't work. Crashes into... Before the snake's massive body crashes into Magdalene's train car, heaving it, which this is how I wanted it to be anyway, so I'm glad that the changes led this way. Okay, let's try that again, this sentence again. A thundering shockwave explodes from the clash point, blasting in the windows and sending every passenger's hands earward, before the snake's massive body crashes into Magdalene's train car, heaving it from the track and into the air. Thank God. Fucking A. I love it. I love where we've gotten so far. June with 199 says, if school didn't suck, what would you go for? I'm really interested in architecture. I feel like I would want to get involved with that. I know it's like very math heavy and I'm not the best at math necessarily, but I would be interested to learn about architecture, how to build things in particular, like houses, how to build structures, study like maybe land cultivation. Like I just want to know more about how society is literally shaped and structured. Like to me, there tends to be a lot of just kind of building shit and then seeing what happens afterwards and then kind of like fixing based on what you've already built. And I'd like to spread more awareness, I guess, of like the logic behind where you should build things or like how you should build things or what's going to be a really dumb idea to do in this place, you know, like that kind of shit. Just figuring out how to shape the world literally would be stuff I don't understand a lot of and want to. Like when I look out over like a farm and I'm like, why did they shape the land this way? You know, I want to understand that kind of stuff. So that would be my first choice. Yeah, I can't think of anything else I'd want to study in school. That's pretty much it, yeah. Alright, everybody, thanks for joining me. This was really fun. Really interesting experiment. I'm going to cut this together into some kind of podcast using just the parts where I'm either writing or explaining why I wrote that. All that's going to be in the podcast version. But that's it. All right. Later.